I remember in 2003 we had our playoff game here, and I remember those towels out there, the white towels waving around. That's my dream for this organization. I was talking to David about that today, and we need to get that back, that excitement back here, and that's our goal: is to roll up our sleeves, work hard, and find those type of players that are going to help us get back to home playoff games and winning.
Yeah, let's get right to it. Wake it up. Let's get right to it. Wake it up, man. Wake it up. If you at work, you might want to turn the volume down. Turn the volume down. Do not scare people. I'm sick, but I got to tell y'all, I ain't never felt better in my life. You might notice my red tongue because I've been eating cough drops just to make sure I could get here and my voice would be full because they deserve it. They deserve it. And y'all deserve it. Man, listen. Boy. I'm telling you, as a sick person, man, I ain't never felt more alive. I'm talking about yesterday, y'all. Like, I feel terrible. You can probably hear it when I'm talking. You'll hear the congestion, all that kind of stuff. I feel horrible. But at the same time, I feel great, baby. I feel absolutely great. Why? Because as I mentioned on my video yesterday, man, I did a little small video just to, kind of give my thoughts as I normally do from my couch on a Sunday, not, as formal as this whole thing is. Man, we lived up to this, to the keep pounding, right? I love that, man. But before I get started, I want to go ahead and do the normal house cleaning, man. Let's first off, shout out to the channel members. We got quite a few in the fold, man. And a lot of y'all commenting this morning. Everybody hyped up. Victory Monday going into the bye. I love it. Shout out to Geraldine Cook, Will Robinson, Richard Bowman, King Jermaine, King's son, Nicole Ivory, one of my mods, JSU, another mod, Miss Douglas, 22, Newbie 324, Dougie 124, Stephen Hagler, somebody that joined earlier today. I saw that like really early this morning, and Graham and Mint. Salute to y'all. If you want to become a member of the OCs, that is the original cats, you can join. $1.99 per month. Hit the join button on the front of the YouTube home page of my channel. I appreciate you guys so much. All right. I see a few of y'all in the chat. Shout out to Mar White, Rome 1030. Yeah, they talking more about Puka's Cats than the Panthers winning this morning. It's all good, though. That's why I told you. Independent media. It don't matter. At this point, it don't matter. We're not worried about that no more, right? Because we talked about it. For whatever reason. And it would take, and I'm telling you, there's been some heroic efforts. There's been some historic efforts, right, with us as a ball club. But unfortunately, we still don't get that look. You know what? It's all right. That's why y'all got us, right? That's why we got y'all. Independent media rules, right? Because we're not going to give you, like, some of us, and I mean, look, I'll be guilty of this as well, so I'm not going to sit here and point fingers. But for the most part, we're going to give you our biases, because you should, right? Because there's players that you like and things that you like, coaches that you like, whatever. But then you're also going to give the real, right? And it won't be sugar-coated, and there's no agendas, and there's nobody paying nobody. You know what I'm saying? So you get your real unauthentic opinion. And guess what? Even if it is a biased approach, at least it's us. So salute to you, Rome. Appreciate you. My man, Panthers Prime Podcast in the building. Jay Issue. Shout out to you, Nicole Ivory. What's up, girl? Hollywood Gaming 82 Nervash. I appreciate y'all this morning. Appreciate y'all. Miss Belby Hack coming all the way from Denmark. Salute to you. Unk Sub Up TV. Appreciate you, man. Yes, sir. Get the likes up. Then I see we already got a super chat in the building. Salute to Jarrell Mason. Now, I know this is coming out really, really small on my screen. That's something that I will fix, but I'm not fixing it right now. I'll just read it. Big win yesterday. And I think we're watching something special brewing in Charlotte. Agree. I'm going to wait till the applause finishes. I'm going to read it full. It says, big win yesterday, and I think we're watching something special brewing in Charlotte. Evero's coaching like he's trying to get an interview for a head coaching opening cycle. I agree. Third round compensatory pick for the next two draft if he gets a job. Yes, I agree with you totally. I had said as much at one point Um, and I thought it was interesting. I said this on X. I was like, man, Evero coaching like he's trying to get a job, man. And the thing is like, it's not that, and I love this about Evero. I really do. Because this, again, keep pounding, right? And we're going to talk about it in a second. So I'll wait. I'm going to go ahead and finish acknowledging the chat and then we'll get right to it. All right. So let's see. Rare Gamer in the building. Salute to you, Willie. Let's see. Yeah, Willie Smith, one of my mods in the building. I appreciate y'all, man. The bank was absolutely rocking. So, man, got another super chat. Shout out to my man Michael. My man Michael says, let's see here. He says, give props to Evero and the defense for all the new signing for this game that no one has played for the Panthers before. Hey, listen, let's get to it. Y'all pushing it right along because that's where we was going first. You know, defensive dominance. Yes, I know we gave up points. I get it. We did give up points, right? But, and I didn't want to lead like this, but I'm going to go ahead and jump into it because that's where you guys. Hey, listen, I'm a man of the people, so if y'all leading, you know, I'm leading where y'all lead, right? But the point is that the dominance didn't necessarily come in the form of complete shutdown, right? They scored 28 points. They had a lot of yards on the ground, right? But what I love about is Euro Vero, and this will lead into how I was going to start the show, right? I'm going to play something for you guys real quick. Monetization is just thrown out the window, so I don't care. So if you don't mind, you know, where was I? No, I was not at the game. I am super sick, so I was not at the game. But anyway, as I was saying, I'm going to play this real quick, and I don't really care about the whole monetization situation because I think this is important to the greater conversation that we'll be having today, right? This is around minute mark, let's see, 3:09 in the third quarter of this game. And I talked about this on X yesterday because I thought this was incredible, absolutely incredible. And it's the reason why I love this team. It is the absolute reason that I am in absolute fascination and love with this team. It's this right here. And I hope y'all can hear this. If you can, I'll explain it after the fact.
Both run and pass.
And just another couple of those draft picks that Les Snead and this Rams front office has continued to hit on. From shot.
Now, you might not be able to hear that too well, but I'm for the sake of not getting shadow banned, you could literally hear the crowd. If y'all were at the game yesterday, many of you were, that I'm seeing in the chat. If you were at the game yesterday, you could literally hear the crowd screaming the call and response, keep pounding to each other, one side of the stadium to the other. I've been at many games, right? I know about the shaking of the chairs on third down and, you know, people clapping and stuff like that. Now, granted, I went to games back when, you know, I've been to some games since we've been bad, right? But I'm very familiar with games when we were really good, right? And that keep pounding chant would be so loud in that stadium. It was deafening. And I love that because exactly what I had clipped to put at the beginning of this intro, Dan Morgan talked about. He remembers the playoff game, the white towels, all that kind of stuff, just the experience, right? Like when I talk about football, man, like some of us talk about it from a technical perspective. Some of us are very smart, like my man, Real Ball Watcher, and many other people that are in our space. Some of them, like me, talk about it from kind of tiptoeing both. I can talk a little bit of ball, but mainly more narrative, right? Because I'm just a fanatic, right? But like the overall experience that we all share is the atmosphere. We all share that, right? It is something that just, I mean, you go back to Roman days, right? And because football and the Coliseum perspective, I saw somebody say, we don't need a dome. I kind of agree with that. I know people have been, you know, some people are back and forth about a dome. I like that we have that old collegiate feel, right? And then when you have guys, as I'll talk about in a few moments, on this defense that not just only give you the collegiate, hard-hitting, you know, feel of the atmosphere, but also give you the play to match it. And, you know, we got just like decades of people that have played on this team that share that as well, right? But the shared experience of being, you know, in the, excuse me, the shared experience of being in the stadium and having that experience alone. Miss Douglas talks about it here. She says, me and my son were saying the chant with them. Yeah, call and response, back and forth. It is incredible. And it's infectious, right? Nothing to me better represented that than that moment, because literally after that moment right there, it was 2nd and 9. They hand the ball off to Chuba Hubbard and he runs for a first down. And it was one of the hard way. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't just, it wasn't one of these just like, jet sweep or whatever you want to call it, or, off tackle. It was like, yo, I'm going in between the tackles, A and B gap, wherever it's available, boom, get into it, right? That is what the keep pounding is all about. And I can't tell y'all how exciting that is as a fan, just to see this team get back to that, right? That is incredible. So, yeah, salute to the Panthers for giving us an amazing experience yesterday. Whether you were watching on TV, I said this before, it's the reason I like games on Fox. I live stream during the Monday night game. They focus more on it really is the wine and cheese crowd, right? Because they focus more on the atmosphere. You got the Peyton and Eli going on. You got Joe Buck and Troy. This is royalty as far as it, announcing is concerned. And like they're doing all this different promo. There's all these different cameras. It's not really, in my opinion, it's for like the hardcore fan, yes, but also the casual. You know what I'm saying? Fox, man, I love Fox, man, and CBS for not for nothing, right? Because you hear the crowd, and I love that you could hear that during that moment, because that just made it all the more special. But man, I'm glad that y'all got a chance. Those of you like Miss Douglas and others that went to that game, that got to enjoy that, because if you're new here, if you don't, if you're not someone that is familiar with the Panthers from, let's say, 04, 03, 04 Super Bowl season, all the way up till, they drafted Cam, this was commonplace, right? Because this was a team that was, dominant with the run game, had a dog X wide receiver and linebackers that, set the tone. So that's what we do. Anyway, so to talk about my lead song, man, that's one of my favorite songs. If you guys don't know what song that was Nipsey Hussle. The name of the song is Dedication, from his album Victory Lap. And I thought it was appropriate, for two reasons. Number one, Nipsey, beloved West Coast artist, and hey, look, we had to serve the West Coast, even though I love LA, but, I had to do what we had to do. That's number one. Number two, it's the contents of the song, because I think it speaks perfectly to what the Carolina Panthers are and what they've been and what they're going to become. There's a line that Nipsey says in the song. He says, dedication, hard work plus patience, the sum of all my sacrifice. But I'm done waiting. Hope you hear what I've been saying. Now you know that I'm not playing. It's dedication, right? I love that, because that's exactly what we're seeing here, right? The defense. I talked about this. Defensively, Ejiro Evero has taught us a lot this season defensively, right? What did he teach us? That last year, everything that he was saying rang true. He wasn't really saying it as much as other people were saying it around him, because he don't make excuses. And I love that about him, right? We literally shot every arrow, the flaming kind, the dry kind, the kind with 3 forks at Ejiro Evero last year, because of the worst defense in the league. But one thing that we're seeing this year more than anything else, we saw it on the game-winning touchdown. We seen it on the big-time throws. You know what I'm saying? Players play and players win. You got to have talent. Point blank and period, right? You're seeing it across the league. People who lose talent lose games. People who have talent and get healthy at the end, they win them, right? Now, that doesn't mean that you can't make adjustments. But what I love about what Evero is doing, and I think that someone like Dave Canales learned from this in real time watching him, is definiteness of purpose. Any readers out there, you ever read the book Think and Grow Rich? Napoleon talks about definiteness of purpose, right? I know who I am. I know what I want to be. I'm not going to alter that. I'm not going to change that. I'm going to be exactly who I am at all times, right? Was that not seen that much more? Two subtle things just, that happened that he changed that he normally doesn't do. On that very last play, Mike Jack immediately runs up to Devontae, because it's like, all right, I'm going to press you, because if I leave you with too much off coverage, it's all y'all going to do is we're down near the 20. We're in the red zone. This is Devontae Adams territory. If I don't press you, I'm probably going to make a mistake. If I do press you, I'm going to try not to make a mistake, right? So I'm going to do something a little different. And he runs right up to him before the ball is snapped. But the other thing, no pressure. 4 people. They didn't bring a blitz. 4 guys. And who got it done? The guy that he needed last year. His dog. Derek Brown. Got it done. Closeout. Incredible. I stuck to what I know. What is his philosophy? We know it. Who's his protege? Vic Fangio. What is his philosophy? I'm going to rush forward. I'm going to bring some pressure from time to time. He did that. Big time blitz. Lathan Ransom. Boom. Which, that's an interesting conversation. We're going to get to that. But the point is that I didn't really change. I'm not going to knock and change what I do for you. I'm going to continue to do what I do because I know it works. I just need the guys to buy in and believe when I ask them to. Hey, man, we're going to rush for here. I need your best. I need the best of the best of the best. A little bit of stunt. Derek Brown with an amazing swim move. Right to the quarterback. Bloop, right out of his hand. I get it. Matt Stafford up to this game. Matt Stafford, 27 touchdowns, no picks. Only person that ever reached that or eclipsed that stat was Tom Brady. I get it. But these guys, when you got a definiteness of purpose, you don't care what's in front of you. I see what y'all saying. What Mike Jack say after the game? I see what y'all had to say about Buddy, Superman, all this kind. I do not care. Superman can get his cape caught up in a wind propeller or a propeller of a plane. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can happen. Anything can happen. Some magical green crystal can fall from the sky. And I wave it in his face a little bit, and he start acting funny. You know what I'm saying? Pressure. Even though you're not, this is the crazy thing, y'all. This is the craziest thing of all. Very little. I mean, the pressure wasn't even that consistent. And you were still able to do what you was doing. It wasn't even consistent. And that's what makes this whole thing beautiful. Is that if you're doing this against this level of competition with guys that are learning, yeah, you got some dogs on the line, right? And you got some guys that you're like, kind of left a lot left to be desired. But boy, what happens if you add a few names? Like I told y'all, I'm not getting into draft stuff just yet. I'm not going to do it just yet. But there's a few names out there that I'm like, you throw some of these guys in the mix. Throw a Peter Woods in the mix. Throw a Ruben Bain in the mix. Throw a Arvell Reese in the mix. I know it sounds crazy. He's probably a top 5 pick. Throw one of those guys in the mix. This thing looks a lot different. This looks a lot different. This is you going from, oh yeah, these guys are good, to, man, you might be talking about this team is ready to compete. Like, they're ready, and I ain't talking about just playoffs. The Panthers showed you yesterday that they can play with anybody. And why do I say that? Look, it's not as if they, like I said, the dominance on defense was not so much you stopping them. Blake Corum, 7 attempts rushing, 81 yards and a touchdown. His average was 11.5, right? Williams, 13 attempts, 72 yards. He had a touchdown. He had a 5.5 rushing average, right? Matt Stafford got off, 18 of 28, 243, right? 2 touchdowns. And there was a few times where you thought like, oh man, this thing can get ready to get ugly. But man, what did I say earlier? What does Nipsey say in the song? Opportunity meets preparation, right? I'm done being patient. It's time. Let's make it happen. But the opportunities meet the preparation. What preparation? Hey, Derek, you're not getting pressure. Get your hands up in the air. Ball batted, interception. Hey, Mike, here's your technique. I know, I get it. Puka made a all-star grab on you, whatever like that. And look, not for nothing, there was a play on a block where Mike Jackson got blew up. Got right back up and got to work. It's not too much. I'm not going to let it overwhelm me. Preparation, dedication, patience, and then it works out for you. Because that was the game, the turnover battle. And 2 absolutely, like, balls to the wall, gutsy calls from Dave Canales. Pause. That was a bar. But yeah, that was the game. All right, let me go back through and I know a lot of y'all in the chat. I'm going. Panther Dollar, this is better than last year. I want to say we're back, but I hope we're still in bipolar mode to some degree. Dizzy Lizard says, is there any chance that Avero will leave after the season? I think that Avero will be one of the hottest coaching candidates, especially after what he just did here. And look, not for nothing, 3 picks against Brock Bowers. Most people will play a game like that and walk away with a W. You know what I'm saying? So, and he's done this a lot. It ain't just been these 2 games. So this has been, and then you go back to season before last when he first got here. Ejiro Evero had I think, if I'm not mistaken, he finished with a top 10 defense. So he's worth his salt, right? Personally, I would hope that we would get 1 more year. But I think the blueprint of what he's trying to do, and not for nothing, I do think someone else would probably come in here and think like, all right, I got these great corners. Because like I said, he doesn't move JC around. And I got to be honest with you, y'all. I am not so upset about that. I know people get upset about it because, it's a reading react situation in the moment. But to me, JC in his defense is very reminiscent of Richard Sherman and Dan Quinn's defense, where you like, okay, I'm not going to move you around a lot, but this side of the field right here is completely shut down. And for a good reason, because if you throw on that side, there's a good chance that 1 or 2 things going to happen: pass breakup or an interception. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm not entirely mad about that. But I do think the next person, because I do think Evero will be on the, he'll be one of the hottest names, even though there's some other people. We'll talk about this at the end of the show. There's a new segment that we're going to start at the end of the show called Around the NFL. Just talking about storylines and stuff that we see around the league that, interest us. Brad will be joining us soon. But yeah, I do think that there'll be some interest in Ejiro Evero. I think there'll be a lot of interest in Ejiro Evero. So that'll be fascinating to see what happens. Okay. All right, cool. All right, perfect. So yeah, that being said, let's see here. Just want to go through, make sure I'm acknowledging you guys, because I can get on my rants and I just go. So shout out my boy Key. Appreciate you stopping in, man. Underdog says, great win yesterday. Rest up on the bye week, come back and beat the Saints. Yes, that's the one thing I hope we do. I hope we don't. And I'm not going to say playing down to the competition, because the Saints have played tough. Since they started Tyler Shuck, they played tough, but that's a game that you got to win. It's not even a should you win. You have to win that game. You got to go into the New Orleans, Caesar Dome, and you got to win that game, because if you don't, playoffs look very, very thin. I think you can, if you win that game and then you beat Seattle, which I think is also very possible. Tough task. So was this. Yeah, it could get interesting. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Like I said, it's not as if you completely took like certain players out of the game. Devontae, 2 touchdowns in the red zone. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Blake Corum, Kyron Williams, these guys got yards, right? They were able to run the ball effectively, which you could kind of question and ask, like, okay, well, if you're Sean McVay, why wouldn't you be more bullish with the run, right? I don't know. But that brings me to my next point. Chuba Hubbard. The real Chuba is back. I said this before. I'll say it again. Chuba Hubbard, and I'm gonna ask for forgiveness here, because I was one of those people. I was loud about it, right? And I'm sure many of you were as well. So I ain't gonna sit here and take all the bullets. But I was one of those people that when Rico was running for 200 and 250 and all this other kind of stuff, man, look, it just looks better. It looks a whole lot better. Yes, it does. And I had some people that were close to me like, John, slow down. I understand it looks better, but you also have to understand this. Chuba Hubbard was hurt. Chuba Hubbard has been struggling to get back from injury. He will be fine. Now, what I wasn't was one of those people on the, like, hey, you got to trade him. You got that contract. Rico, you got to get rid of him. Go ahead and trade him, get it done. No. I'm glad they don't listen to people like me, right? Like I said, I wasn't one of the trade guys, but I was one of the, Rico should get the lion's share of the carries. And look, not for nothing, the Buffalo game kind of set us all in that, mode, right? And it is a week-to-week league. If they're going to say it's a week-to-week league as far as their play is concerned, then we are well within our right to say it's a week-to-week league and how we, look at it and analyze it, right? That being said, man, I don't think we've had a player on this roster not named, if you want to say Derek Brown, I even say Chuba more than Derek, that embodies this. Keep pounding. Because it's one thing, like, there's nobody on this team, like, Derek Brown had more tackles in a single season than any tackle in history. And I want you to think, there's some names on that list. There's Warren Sapp's on that list, Aaron Donalds, there's Bruce Smith's, there's, John Randall, Deacon Jones. I can go back as far as you want to in history, and his name is alone on the top of that list as far as tackles are concerned. There's nobody taking Derek's job, right? Derek showed you yesterday, my job is firmly secured. Chuba Hubbard has worked his tail off, right? You see it. You watch him on the blueprints. You watch him on any of the videos that they release, any of the reporters. He's always that first guy in, last guy out, right? Always supportive. Never hung his head. Wasn't one of these guys standing on the sideline with his helmet on the whole time waiting to go in. Hey, coach, you need me to play special teams? Bet. I got you. That's what this is. I told you. There was a moment yesterday when that was happening, when the crowd chant was happening, and then Chuba took off on second and 9 and got a first down. Dog, my eyes welled up. I ain't even gonna lie. Because at this point, we're up. It's 24-28, right? We're up. 24-21, I think. Sorry, yeah, 24-21. But we're up. Yeah, eyes welled up a little bit. I'm like, because that's what it's all about. A no-nonsense guy, a guy that just shows up to work, a guy that's just like, hey, whatever y'all need me to do, I'm down to do it. Those are the guys that change franchises. There's no way I would trade that. Not a chance. And look, I get it. His contract, there's a whole lot of stuff that's going on in this running back room. It's a lot, man. It really is. You got Trevor Etienne got some burn yesterday. They had they were running like a 22 or 23 personnel, and they threw one to him in the flat. And that good play, right? Trevor Etienne, a guy in waiting. Lathan Ransom, a guy in waiting, right? But you got an opportunity coming up in this offseason it's going to be real interesting. Not an opportunity. I would say a potential detriment, because you got another guy in wait that you don't know what he's going to be, that you drafted. And then you got Rico doing what he's doing this year, which not for nothing. I get it. Rico didn't have the best game ever, but 18 for 58 with a 17-long run ain't nothing to, frown at. 17 carries for 83, Chuba Hubbard. But some of the biggest plays came, in the passing game. Chuba with a, 35-yard touchdown, right, to set the tone early. Rico, like I said, big-time play. There was a catch that he made, a first down that he got to, when you're driving. And then most importantly, this is what I love about Chuba's resurgence. Last week, I mentioned in the title of this video, the Carolina Panthers have found their identity. They have. Now you got it. Because there were a few times in this game where you could see it go either way. A first down run that was like, a little dicey. You know what I'm saying? Second down run, we didn't really get that far. Third down, they're going to pass it. Well, one time they will, another time they won't. But for the most part, Dave stuck with the plan. What Dave said when he got here in his introductory press conference, that was his identity then. He showed that to be his identity today. What was that? We are going to be bullish with the run, and we're going to ask Bryce Young to make a few plays during the game to kind of get us out of situations. That's exactly what happened. You were bullish with the run, and on 2 4th downs, you scored. We saw that last year against Atlanta. Big-time Tommy Tremble throw, right? We'll get to that. But the point is that you stuck with what you said that you were going to do in the beginning, and boy, did it work out in your favor. I fully believe that if you would have done that on Monday night, we are now 8-5, right? As opposed to 7-6. But can't go back, can't change things. I'm just glad you learned from it. Maybe, Bryce Young throw for 448 in a game where, hey, you see him getting off, just let him fly, let him cook, And you think the next week coming in, well, maybe we can recapture some of that. No. Get back to what you. The goodness of what Bryce Young against Atlanta done was that you have that as an option. I can go to that if I need to, but that's not who we are. We are a power run team with a guy that can, dice up defenses in opportunistic situations, right? Could he become that one day in his career? Maybe. But what if he never does? And that's the thing I talk about all the time. What do you need from Bryce Young? What you just saw against the Rams, that's what you need. Early on, yeah, first and second down. I got a stat that I'll pull up at some point. As a matter of fact, we'll do it now. I'll go ahead and get to it now. First and second downs. Bryce Young, 44 yards. No touchdowns, no picks. That's yesterday. But on third and fourth down, 162, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. That's what you need. If you're going to be successful, it's okay that he's not the best on first and second down. But the main thing is that you see the 0 and the 0 at the bottom column. Take the opportunities away from him to turn the ball over early, right? There are physical limitations there that you will have a hard time getting past. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But there's so much else great there, especially when he's playing in tempo and in rhythm. One thing I loved about this broadcast, Drew Brees, and I know that, hey, look, Drew here's what I expected going in. I ain't gonna lie. I expected this going in. I expected Drew to kind of give us the Vilma treatment because Vilma might not say it out loud, but Vilma's bias bleeds through the screen because Vilma does not like us. And guess what? The feeling is 1,000% mutual. I cannot tell you how mutual it is. Beside the point. I actually enjoyed Drew's commentary because Drew said some things that he looked at from his perspective as a quarterback, and he kept calling it. Hey, man, Jalen Coker, there's a great mismatch there. So much emphasis is focused on Teteroy McMillan. You got a really great opportunity with Jalen Coker over here. Oh, what do we see on the fourth down? Touchdown, right? Hey, man, a lot of free access on the outside. The way y'all are running the ball, you go in the third quarter. And this is nuts, right? I don't know if y'all saw this graphic at the bottom of the screen. I don't have it clipped, but this was nuts. In the third quarter, we held the ball for 13 minutes. The Rams had 3 plays for -3 yards. Do y'all understand how insane that is? But is that not, what did I just say? Keep pounding. Hard work plus what? Patience. The sum of all my sacrifice, but I'm done waiting. Let's do it. Why not? Hottest team in the NFL. 9-2 coming in here. This is a team that people are saying like, look, you got a quarterback on a historic run. You know what I'm saying? Let's do it. Let's do what we do. And like Dave said, you still have not seen our best football yet. And I fully believe that. Fully believe it. But let's do it. Let's do what we do best and make you beat us. I said it in the beginning. With a Giro Evero. I may not have what I need in tow, but I know who I am. So who I am last year, because I don't have access to my best. Now, could you make an argument that, all right, cool, you are who you are. Why not make some changes? I mean, I could. Why not get me what I need? There's a question. Can we answer that? Because one thing I can say, circling back to our defense, that I'm sure me and Brad will talk about more as well, the Carolina Panthers are an incredibly deep roster. An incredibly deep roster. Like, it's insane how deep we are. I mentioned earlier, you literally have you got a potential battle on your hands at that nickel safety spot because Lathan Ransom yesterday, boy, that looked good. Boy, it looked good. Big time against the run, big time sack on a blitz. Like, and look, prisoner of the moment, me. I'll be admitting of it, right? I am a prisoner of the moment. I'm not going to forget what Trayvon Morik has done, right? But man, ain't it a luxury to have this much talent so deep on the roster? This has not been us in years past. Even in some of those great years we had, man, if you lost like one or two, we lost Josh Norman and fell off a cliff in our secondary. We go from a 15-1 team to a 6-10 team. Now, clearly, it was more than just the Josh Norman thing, but still, Bené Ben-Wickery, anybody remember that? 200-something yards, Julio Jones, anybody remember that? Right? And we go get Mike Jackson for a guy that we probably had no intention of ever playing anyway. You know what I'm saying? And we came up on that trade to Seattle. So, fascinating. I'm going to read a few chat comments, and then I'm going to bring in our guest host for the day, who is not really a guest at this point. Panther Doll says, Matthew Stafford hasn't thrown an interception since week 3. He threw 2 yesterday and had a fumble. I told you, if you're at work, turn the radio down because it's up. Miss Velbehag said, I got into it with someone on Reddit yesterday, literally hating on Bryce because of that missed pass to XL. Like, what, bruh? Yesterday was not the day to be mad at Bryce. Some Panther fans be wilding. I mean, it is what it is. You know, just, hey, whatever. Let me make sure I got everybody. Cool. Okay, so y'all make sure to smash that like button. We got 179 watching between 2 platforms, 40 likes. I appreciate y'all. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing to the channel. There's no cost to that, no cost to the like button. If you do want to support the channel, you can support for $1.99 per month by joining the OCs, the original cats. And yeah, we're gonna have like I said, building up the membership situation. We'll have some special membership lives as soon as I get over some of these sicknesses that I got going on. But either way, joining me right now, I'm gonna bring him in just 2 seconds. My boy Brad, my special host, the guy, the man himself. Brad is one of the greatest people that I know in my life, and I'm excited to honored, I should say, to call him friend, and excited that he is a part of what we do here on the One Carolina Show. So give me 2 seconds. I'm going to bring Brad in real quick, and then we're going to get right back to it. Brad, can you hear us?
Sure can. What's up, brother?
What's going on with you, man?
Staying dangerous, man, you know.
I hear that. All right, so here's where we were. I went over our defensive performance. I'll kind of circle back to that because I want to get you involved in some of that conversation. You know, yesterday, man, Matt Stafford had 3 turnovers. Now, somebody had pointed out in the chat here that give me 2 seconds and I'm going to pull up this. Let me turn down John. Yeah, man, because I'm up. My boy Jay Issue said he got me turned down because I've been going crazy. But I want to pull up. Panther Dog had a comment in here. Okay, here it is. Panther Dog said Stafford hadn't thrown an interception since week 3. He threw 2 yesterday and had a fumble. Now, I talked to you about this last night, Brad, briefly, and I talked about definiteness of purpose, right? And Ejiro Evero kind of sticking to what he does. A blitz here and there, you know, like a surprise blitz. Lathan Ransom comes and just, you know, on a safety blitz and just blows him up. But primarily just rushing with 4, you know, getting there with 4, but just the discipline of guys. Hey, Derek Brown, you're not getting to the quarterback, get your hands up. You know, knocks the ball out of the air. Nick Scott comes down with an interception. What were some of your takeaways that, you know, you think led to Matt Stafford having so many turnovers yesterday?
Well, we talked about it before the game, just the fact that Matthew Stafford, in a way, is a lot like Jordan Love for the Packers. Mm-hmm. I mean, they operate on big chunk plays. I know there's a lot of swing passes, screen passes, and things that the Rams do. But, I mean, I've seen Matt Stafford his whole, 17-plus year career. Mm-hmm. And, when he was in Detroit, man, he was slinging it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He doesn't have a Calvin Johnson at his helm now, but he does have a Devontae Adams and a Puka Nacua. And he will get impatient. Mm-hmm. And if you saw, Drew Brees alluded to it a number of times of like we were playing like a bend, don't break style and then kind of, bow up on the goal line, red zone type of stuff. And I was saying before the game, my hope was that Evero had something up his sleeve just because, he was the coordinator on this Rams team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He knows Sean McVay's tales. He knows a lot of his formations. And for us still to get those kind of turnovers and to get those kind of big splash plays with, I would say, a third of our major contributors out and concussed was just a huge day for us.
Humongous day. I talked about there's some guys that I hadn't really, spoken on. I felt like Shal Smith Wade, played really well yesterday. Mike Jack.
You didn't hear his name.
No, you didn't hear his name, and that's the point.
And that's a good thing as a corner, yeah.
Yeah, that's the point. Is that, if you're not hearing him, I mean, think about this. Emmanuel Forbes on the other side, man, like that's all we heard, like coming into this game. Emmanuel Forbes shut down, all this kind of stuff, how he's turned around since he left Washington, all this kind of stuff. And like, they took advantage 2 different times on touchdowns, against Emmanuel Forbes specifically, right? Which is why sometimes you got to trust your guys, man. Like, I know that we want our corners to move around a lot. Like, I saw Avero do something at the very end of the game that I brought up, man. And it was, I'm always talking about how I would love to see him play a little bit more press man, especially because you've got, twin towers, at corners. You know what I'm saying? Like, J.C. Horn's, 6'2"? Mike Jack around 6'2", 6'3", something like that. And so yesterday, because you were getting just carved to pieces by Devontae Adams, especially when they were, going down trying to score, he just kept finding soft spots in that zone. There were a few times where it was just like some veteran stuff he was doing that would just turn guys around and he'd be wide open, especially in the red zone. But the same play that Derek Brown, kind of got the strip sack on or whatever, Mike Jack did something that he didn't do all game long. And I do think that's part of the secret of what Ibero does well, even though sometimes he may not deploy it as much as he needs to. That is the bend but don't break philosophy of like, all right, well, I haven't shown you this look of me coming up and pressing you all game long. Now I'm going to do it in the most crucial moment. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm going to sack you on a third down to flip the downs, right? So I thought that was fascinating. And clearly it must have been something that worked, because before that, Devontae had just had a huge game. Puka Nacua had a huge game. So I'm wondering if maybe that was something that kind of threw him off a little bit, and that's what made him hold the ball a little bit longer.
Well, it was really good coaching in effect of putting your players into a position to succeed. I mean, you don't have, like I said, your J.C. Horns. You don't have Trayvon Mayrick because of the suspension. And then you don't have Claude Cherilus due to concussion. And you don't have Roseboom as our leading tackler due to his hamstring and hip issues. So bringing in, backup players and trying to have them play like a super aggressive, super blitz heavy press, sitting on coverage type of a game just would have left us more exposed than it would have been more advantageous. So I like the fact that, he was like, listen, stay in front of guys, make tackles. We are going to give up some chunk plays because of just the fact that they've got, 2 of the best receivers. Devontae Adams is leading the league in touchdown catches. Puka Nacua, them together, they're the number 1 yardage touchdown combo in the league. And you've got some serious receiver combos out there, Cincinnati. Yeah. And so for the fact that it was just a thing where he was keeping guys in place and still asking his, game changers, Derek Brown, Nick Scorton, to make plays, it was just, like I said, it was a great game plan. And if you noticed, especially with this pick 6, they were sitting on those deep out routes. And those are routes you run with the guy like Stafford because of his great arm. And they were just sitting on them, and they weren't open the whole game. I know it was, really hard to see Puka Nacua make that one hand at the end of the game, but even in that play, Mike Jackson was in perfect position. So yeah, it's just one of those things where, like, shout out to, EJ, because even though it was a bend don't break, it was frustrating to see, some passes across the middle where they were running wide open.
Yeah.
Still, we held them under 100 yards rushing, and, well, one of the rushers. And then we also, stopped and made key plays when we needed to.
Yeah. Yep. And that's, that's all you can ask for, and like I said, that just, I love that he doesn't, I mentioned that last play and you rushing 4 right there, even though, you could freak out in that moment and send an all-out blitz, you know what I'm saying, because of how they're moving the ball, but you stick to your philosophy and you trust your guy. Not your guys, but your guy. Hey, big dog, I need you to make a play. These guys moving the ball like crazy. Derek, I need the best version of you right now. Please go make a play. And sure enough, I mean, it was, I was watching the game on Hulu, and I ain't gonna lie to you, dog. YouTube TV has now fixed everything, so like I'm, slowly transitioning back, and I'm gonna keep Hulu because some of the benefits they have. But man, I was so mad, bro, because I started data capping like right when that play happened too, and I got to watch it after the fact, right? So like you text me and you was like and then I text you back and like, but my text was so delayed it was crazy. So you probably thinking like, what you out about them kneeling? Like, you know what I'm saying, like we got it, bro. Like. So I'm like mad late, with the stream and whatnot. But man, I mean, just the energy. I talked about this, Brad. I'm not gonna play it because I don't want to, get flagged. Because somebody just texted me. My boy Keith texted me and said he's not seeing the stream up. But I looked and checked myself, and we still live, so we good. But the moment on 2nd and 9, Chuba's got the ball. You know what I'm saying? And I talked about this, and we'll recover this too now that you're here. But Chuba has the ball on 2nd and 9. The crowd is just screaming. I've got some people in the chat that were at the game. They're talking about how it was, the call and response chant was just unbelievable, super loud. I mean, you could just hear it roaring through the speakers on the TV. And then literally right after that, he runs for a first down. And it was like, I mean, that in our history, Brad, you know this, whether it's the Deshaun Foster run against the Eagles in the NFC Championship or, big time Jonathan Stewart run where he, face plants Rondé Barber. I believe Rondé Barber's jersey is still underneath the stadium, you know what I'm saying, from the stiff arm. You know what I'm saying? That's where this mantra, this keep pounding, that's where that comes from. And just seeing that and seeing a guy like Chuba. And look, you were one of those guys, man, that, yes, I was big time on the train of like Rico needs to get the lion's share of the carries or whatever like that. But you kept bringing me and other people in here back down to earth. Like, hey man, don't give up on Chuba just yet. Do not give up on him just yet.
Well, I mean, I didn't even know back then that he was as hurt as he was. They finally put out a good article, I would say 2 weeks after he had come back, talking about how, he kind of admitted to, I rushed back. You know what I mean? And that's just human. I mean, you see a guy out there eating, you see a guy out there performing the way that Rico was performing, and you like, man, I got to get back out there and do something.
Mm-hmm.
And he did not have that hitch in his giddy up. I mean, dude, that swing pass yesterday, I would say, the New York Jets game when they were, trying to force feed us the 2-back system of every back gets a series. Mm-hmm. He didn't have that kind of explosiveness. And so, I mean, and that's kind of thing, I mean, like a calf strain, a hamstring thing like that can linger. But it's just one of those things where in the end, looking forward, we can't do what we did and pay 2 backs $40 million with like we did with Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. So there will have to be like a decision made. But for this season, I really like this. Let the hot hand, get the bulk of the carries. Let the hot hand carry you to victories, and then have just 2 guys in your stable. And most of that yesterday, I think, was a result of Rico getting what looked like a stinger to his shoulder, on the first carry of the game. He came in and made some tough runs, but he just wasn't himself yesterday. And he's been banged up. I mean, great time for the bye week, even though we all were complaining about how late it was. Even Derek Brown was like, yeah, we finally got that bye week next week. But it's just a thing where I saw on a message board a guy was saying, man, hopefully Dave won't, overthink it and not give it to the guy that's producing. Mm-hmm. And when Chuba started producing yesterday, I mean, he kept him in there.
Yeah, he sure did. And I love that. And that's the perfect balance. That's why I said that I think they found their identity. It took a little bit of, just R&D, research and development, and look, you don't get the luxury of having the kind of R&D department that can tell you these things come back and then you can kind of implement it to see if it works. Like most businesses, you got to do this in real time. And it's a win or a loss if it does or if it doesn't, right? Sometimes you got guys that are so talented that they can overcome the deficiencies, but most of the time it's got to be done. And you're going to have those deficiencies because there's so many variables. There's so much unknown when you're playing different opponents and things that they might show that they don't show. They talked about that against, in the San Francisco game where it's like, all right, well, we were showing underneath most of the game, but then we went back, in the hook, or we went back in the deep third, you know what I'm saying? And that kind of threw Bryce off, right? And so that's why we were able to kind of mess him up and then obviously get the interception in the red zone, which not for nothing, going back and looking at that again, it's like, that's where you wish Dave would have kind of stuck with his philosophy. And it's like, look, ground and pound, man. You've been here before. You've seen it. You saw it on the biggest stage with all the lights on. You literally saw a franchise that you love and you talk about all the time crumble to pieces over a very same play of you being in the red zone with a chance to score against a team who is hot, right? A team who has, look, at the time, it was still within, striking distance for us to, pull that game out. And you throw the ball and make a mistake, right? Now, when you're doing this in real time, like you think, okay, well, we've practiced this a lot. This is in our game plan. We can execute this properly. Bryce made a mistake. Russell Wilson made a mistake, but it cost you big. At least for us, it wasn't the Super Bowl. But I want to highlight this comment because I was going to talk about this, but it was going to be towards the end of the show. But we'll talk about it now. Hollywood Gaming says, can we talk about what the crap happened right before halftime? I know what he's talking about. He's talking about Dave Canales' clock management. Now, I'm going to ask you, Brad, because I want you to give me your take on it because I have my take on it, and ours may align. They may not. But I want to know what you think about that because, there was I want to say you had like at least a minute and a half run off the clock while you were like creeping up on the red zone. And then like, I think Bryce took a sack and it kind of put you in a weird spot. So you had to punt. But like, what was your thoughts on just the clock management itself in that situation?
Well, my big disappointment with that wasn't the clock management. It was the taking the sack. Drew Brees said it best, and shout out to Dirty Sanchez for mucking up his opportunity with Fox News, Fox Sports, because I really like Drew Brees much better as a game announcer.
Same here, yes.
You know what I mean?
I'll talk about that in a minute, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so he talked about, when we see in this unfold in real time, the maturation of a quarterback and the maturation of a coach, you have these opportunities and you have these instances where they, stack on good decision after good decision after good decision. And then while you're dealing with that, you do have some bad decisions and you have some things that you would like them to get better at. And one of the things I was really frustrated at the end of the half was that sack. Drew Brees said it, man, like you got to throw it at the feet of a receiver. You got to do something. You cannot take a sack right there.
Right.
And I feel like with 3 timeouts, the clock management wasn't the big deal of it because you have 3 timeouts. But once you take that sack, it completely retards the, vision of what you're trying to accomplish in that 2-minute drill.
Exactly. Yeah.
So right there, I was angry about him taking the sack. And then, like I said, therefore, just eliminating. And we had it like 3 times yesterday, holding calls, different things that stalled drives where we were on the way to get points. And so, that's my take from what happened at the end of the half.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say that the sack was more egregious than anything else, but I don't disagree with what Dave Canales was doing because I could see what he was trying to do. Because there was a bunch of runs and then there was the throw because you got a 3rd and long. I think a penalty may have happened or whatever. But the reason that I don't disagree with it is because I really believe in my heart that he was trying to keep the ball away, even if you score right there. He didn't want to give Stafford and company an opportunity to cut through that defense again and score, because if they do that, even if you get points, whether it's a touchdown or a field goal, and you give them the ball back with 50 seconds left, right? At the time, it looked like they probably had, the momentum to get it done, right, to score. And they did have the momentum, not for nothing because we walked away with no points on that drive. But, pardon me.
Both teams too, it was all 6 timeouts. So both teams had 3 timeouts.
Yes. And yeah, I think that the goal in that situation was to limit the amount of opportunities that the Rams would have on offense once you gave the ball back up. And so I do think that that's the reason why he was just letting it run off. Now, for me and for the most of us, like Shaky 8 AN says, says he was hot about the situation, that they mucked up the whole situation. What was the plan, right? And it felt like an entire lack of urgency. But like I said, looking at it in real time, I was pissed. But as I thought about it, and then once they punted the ball to the Rams and the Rams just kind of kneeled it and, walked into the locker room, honestly, I think that was the best scenario. That was the best outcome, even without the points, because now at least you get the ball back. And then we saw what you and I talked about ad nauseum yesterday. Buddy, they got the ball back. The Rams literally we had the ball for 13 minutes and 10 seconds. The Rams had 3 plays in the third quarter for -3 yards. That is insane. That is the fewest by, huh?
I was just saying, oh yeah.
Yeah. That is the fewest. They showed this graphic at the bottom of the screen with like 2 minutes left in the third quarter. We were driving. That is the lowest number of yards, plays that a team has had in the NFL all season long, right? We're talking about the Rams, the number one passing offense, the number one potential total offense in the league, and you hold them to 3 plays? That is insane. You think about what we've done this year and some of our deficiencies, right? On offense. We beat that with our defense. The defense that was the league worst last year. That's insane. That is your guys finally buying into your plan. That is your identity coming to life. That is, hey, if you do what you tell us that you're going to do, Rico and Chuba Hubbard had combined 35 carries, right? Mm-hmm. That's part of your game plan. Hard defense, hardcore, hard-hitting defense. That's part of your game plan. That's why these guys can just be so interchangeable inside of Avero's system. I got to have some key guys. I got to have my Derricks. I got to have my Turks. I need my guys on the line, right? But the linebackers, man, look at the linebacker variations throughout the season, Brad. Claude Cherilus, he got off in Atlanta. Christian Rosemoom's your leading tackler. He ain't there. Chris Barnes come in. He played a solid game. I mean, there's a few times we got exposed in the run game. And then Trevin Wallace, your green dot. You know what I'm saying? He's back, but he's still kind of slowly getting back, from injury. The fact that you can do all this interchangeably and you're actually sticking to your game plan and not wearing away from that, I think that speaks volumes to how these guys perform, man. I do.
Well, I mean, it's also, too, it's like, one of the biggest issues during the San Francisco game is that we steered away from this vocal identity that our coach has been preaching since he got here. Mm-hmm. The 2 things we've seen was him saying, we're going to be a power run team. We're going to run the ball. And then Avero, in the Panthers summer, social media drafts, videos they drop. He told DJ Johnson, which DJ Johnson was never really able to do, is that we're going to set the edge and defend the run.
Yeah.
And that's a thing you can hang your hat on. As a player, you're like, listen, if we lose doing what we do, one of the greatest coaches, I mean, I would say the greatest coach, and that's hard for me to say, being a Carolina fan, is John Wooden. Mm-hmm. And John Wooden's whole thing was, we're going to do what we do, and we're going to make them adjust off of what we do. Hindsight's 20/20, but if we go power smash running against the Niners and continue to do that, what we did yesterday, and yesterday it was kind of basically purported as like a blueprint for upsets. And that's not it. You run the ball, make pass plays when you need to, and play good defense. That's going to get you a lot of wins in the NFL.
It absolutely will.
Us doing that yesterday got us a win. I feel like it would have got us a win in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm doing my best not to go back and have the revisionist history of that game, because I think for a young coach learning in real time, like, there were a few moments yesterday where you could see where it was the same moments where it's like on first down. All right, we run 2 yards. Then we run again with Rico. Oh, he's not getting anything. Then they'll run again on third down. It's like, and then they would try, a fourth down attempt, and you saw or sometimes it would be on like third and manageable, right? And Bryce would make a play, right? And to me, that's where it's like, I'm buying into this philosophy because, hey, here's the cool thing. The very thing that I talk about that can sometimes be really good can also be a detriment. You got guys that if you don't stick to what you say you're going to do, they going to call you on it. Rico Dowdle has called you on it. Nick
Yep.
Scorton has called you. You know what I'm saying? Nick Scorton has called you on. And look, Rico doubled down because people forget what he said. I mean, bro, his facial expression when he said what he said to Vashti was insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, his facial expression told it all. When she said, hey, you guys are the top, I don't have the clip in front of me, but she said, you guys are the top 10. Actually, I'm gonna find this clip, man, because I really want this was fascinating. Because like I said, his facial expression showed everything. You guys are the top 10 or one of the top 10 rushing defense or offenses in the league, and you only got 6 carries. And you could see in his face, here it is. Hold on. I got it right here. This was on Monday Night Football. Hold on.
This team where it seems like.
And just watch his facial expression when she says this to him. Like, it was really interesting.
You know, you can have a game like you guys did last week, and then this week struggle offensively.
Just inconsistent. Been the case the whole year. You just got to find a way to keep going up, not like this.
What are some solutions to that? I mean, just from your perspective.
I don't know.
Not right here, but
I asked
right
Dave
here
about you only having 6 carries in the game. You got a top 10 rushing offense. Was that by design or?
You can see in his face. As soon as she said that, she's like, you've got a top 10 rushing offense. And he just looked and was like, it's like, coach, man. Like, yes, you're going to get called by these players because you set that atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? I know early on he was like, man, somebody boo that man. You know what I'm saying? In his introductory press conference. Hey, that gun can turn back on you, especially if you have the kind of, you know, I don't think Dave Canales is passive aggressive. I just think he really believes in his guys' ability to express themselves, right? He is the anti-Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells would look at you and be like, if you don't get, you know what I'm saying? I ain't going to say the rest. But it's the anti that. To see him come out and actually live up to that creed, that's why now, like I said, you've got guys responding in such a positive way compared to what they did last week when the energy just looked like it was sucked out of the room because it's like, coach, man, what are you doing? Like, Bryce don't need to throw this many times, man. The game is still within reach. We just had 3 picks. Like, well, this is crazy. And you're doing this on the national stage. Like, everybody can see us. I don't know if you know that. But, you know, whatever.
Well, I mean, and you got to understand, I mean, Rico's batting 1,000, like 200-plus yard games, 2 or 3, you know, visible video evidence calls of him telling coaches like, hey, let's run this.
Yeah.
Hey, let's, you know what I'm saying? In Miami, it was let's run the toss sweep. That's something we did in Dallas that we don't do here. Boom, 70-yard run. Atlanta game, hey. And I mean, you look at it. I mean, Atlanta has undersized defensive ends who are basically linebackers trying to play defensive end. So those guys are rushing with their hair on fire. And he's saying, listen, if they are still in that front and they're running a certain way, and he was like, hey, Brad, you know what I'm saying? You know, hey, coach. Mm-hmm. And then they run the screen, and it's basically a 40-yard touchdown. You know, they said he stepped out of bounds. But the guy's batting 1,000. And then, you know, as the reporter is, you know, one of my friends always say it's not the stabbing so much with the knife, but it's the twisting. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's raw emotion. Yeah. That's a game they knew they could have won. And then she's like, hey, man, how do you feel that your coach didn't give you a chance to do nothing? Mm-hmm. How do you feel that your coach didn't give you a chance to be effective? And I mean, I love that raw emotion because it's still respectful. Yeah. It's not like how Antonio Brown or, you know, George Pickens did Mike Tomlin. You know, it's not like undermining your coach so much as it's like, man, I'm really passionate and I really feel like I wasn't given the chance to produce on a level I can produce. Yeah. That's the kind of guys that, you know, a lot of people I don't say a lot of people, but there's still a few people that try to give the Matt Rule era certain credence. But those are the kind of guys he didn't want. He did not want individuality. He didn't want guys to have a voice, and that can work. But even though most winningest coach in the history of the league, a lot of guys hated that they played for Belichick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They hated that atmosphere, that dogmatic, assertive, big brother's always watching, players step in line, don't say anything in the media, and have no personality. And so I really applaud Rico for letting his coach know, man, I was upset. I feel like we could have ran on them. And as evidence as the 17-yard run at the start of the second half, they could run on them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm with it. And it's like you were saying, it's the maturation of coaches. I mean, we talked about this the other day. These young, big brain coaches, these offensive coordinators that are becoming head coaches now, for the simple fact that if you hire a defensive coordinator as your head coach, the teams have the chance to pluck your offensive coordinator and make them the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
But you've seen these guys, other than Ben Johnson, Shane Steichen, they have the best running back in the league in Taylor. And when they were up and cruising against the Chiefs a couple weeks ago, they decided to pass the ball around the field with Daniel Jones, and the Chiefs come back and beat them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a growth thing. You hate to see it because you hate to have those games, especially in a playoff run, or you're trying to make a playoff run. You hate to leave those games there. But again, shout out to Canales for dialing it up this week and making that change. Because, dude, in the fourth quarter, until they called that bullshit holding penalty on Jatavion Sanders, we had the game in a chokehold.
Mm-hmm.
I looked, when they showed Matthew Stafford, he was shivering. You know, man, Rory Blake said it in the chat, it never rains in Southern California. Or that's what they tell me. And and so, hey, he was over there shivering, man. They was done. And then they, completely threw the anchor on our drive, and they went down and scored, and we had to win at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But I was feeling it. I love that, man. Fourth quarter, you see those defenders with their hands on their hips, bent over, and we're running down their throat, whether it's Chuba or Rico. That's our identity.
Gassed. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Like I said, that you're right. That is 100% our identity. Shout out to y'all. 186 watching between two platforms. Make sure to smash that like button. We got 54 likes. Let's get the likes up. Shout out to my man. What's up, Doug? Says, enjoy your Victory Monday. Keep pounding. Yes, sir, man. Appreciate you coming through. One of the things that I'll talk about before we go on to our next topic is the underdog thing, man. The record, we have a record of 2-0 as a 10-point underdog this season, right? And that's against Green Bay and the Rams. So one time might be a little bit of luck. The next time, it ain't a mistake. It's not a mistake at all. You are actually doing your job. All right. That being said, doing our job. I said something yesterday on my live video. Or excuse me, not my live video, but my pre-recorded video. And there was someone that had commented on the video. I'm not sure if you're in the chat, so I'll mention it again. One of my favorite shows to watch is House of David. Now, granted, depending on who you ask, some people don't like shows like the House of David and Chosen because it doesn't go 1,000% by the Bible, right? Well, it does, but it doesn't, right? Like there's some things that they may say because they'll use like what they refer to as like a creative license to build a story around something. Like we don't know if Goliath's mom was killed and that's the reason that he joined up with Achish and the Philistines to join against, because Goliath was a Philistine, but to join up against David, right? But the way that they built the story, they do it just to be like, okay, this is may have happened, or this is what we're going to say creatively happened to build up the story to show like this is how it may have gone, whatever like that, or at least in our universe, right? And so there's a moment in the last episode of House of David where Eliab, his brother, now granted, they've been fighting like pretty much the whole series, right? Season 1, season 2. They look at David as kind of an outcast because he wasn't their mother's son. And, they don't like that their dad, kind of, looks at him and shows him a little favor sometimes or whatever. And they certainly don't like when Samuel comes to him and he finally gets called to become who he becomes, right? But at the end of the episode of season 2, the last episode, there was a moment where Eliab showed up when David's hiding out in the mountains of Nob because Saul's after him, and drew his sword, and he thinking like, man, I'm going to have to fight my brother. And his brother takes his sword and sticks it in the ground, draws the line in the sand and says, no, I'm here to serve you, right? All right. What do I mean by that, right? Because somebody just said it in the chat. Rome Bryce is my guy, full stop, point blank, period. The debate is over. I am not having it anymore. This is not something, so this will be the last time. If you want to get your Bryce takes off, this will be the last time you can do it with me. Because the debate is over. And quite frankly, I don't want to hear it from none of y'all. Bryce is our quarterback, franchise quarterback. They're going to pick up the option. He's going to get paid. Deal with it. Because you don't have a different option out there, right? So it is what it is. If you don't like it, cool. But here's some things that you're going to have to deal with that you don't like. One of them, Bryce Young, since entering the league, has a 48% win rate when trailing by 7 or less in the fourth quarter, minimum 10 opportunities. Only Patrick Mahomes, let me cue it up. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts have a better percentage in that period. And look, what do they say at the end of that? It is a ridiculous stat. Yes, it is. Do I think that the Panthers will draft a quarterback this year? Yes, and I have said that. For backup purposes only. But just in case, maybe, just maybe, Dave decides, hey, I would like to have someone here I can groom just in case. Do I think that's going to happen in the top rounds? No, I do not. But the debate on whether or not Bryce Young is your franchise quarterback, it's over. Like I said, I'm not having it anymore. Here's some more for you. Bryce Young is the youngest player in NFL history with 11 game-winning drives. The other two guys on that list, pretty good. One's the reigning MVP, Josh Allen. Another is the biggest brain, both literally and figuratively, in NFL history, and Peyton Manning. You do not end up on these lists. Now, look, is there some stuff that you're going to have to work on if you're Bryce Young? Yes, clearly. You got to get more consistent game to game. But I also think that your coach can help you out, especially when you see what happened yesterday versus what happened the game before. I mentioned it. You're down, right? There's an opportunity for you to kind of revert back to those things that, scare us a little bit, like Bryce Young throwing the ball on first and second down continuously. Not a good recipe for success. Why do I say that? Well, what does the data tell us? On first and second down yesterday, 44 passing yards. He was 0 for 0, touchdowns and interceptions. The beautiful thing is that there were no turnovers. But what happened on third and fourth down? 162 yards, 3-0. 3 touchdowns, no picks. Bryce Young, now that he has found I'm going to find this tweet to show y'all because Edgar Salmingo showed something, and I'll just tell you. I don't have to show you. I'll just tell you. Edgar Salmingo showed something on X, a clip from the All-22 on that touchdown throw to Teteroa McMillan. Teteroa McMillan has not even turned up field yet, and you can see Bryce Young already cocked back and the ball's coming out of his hand. He hadn't even fully separated from the corner, and the ball was coming out of his hand. That's the kind of confidence last year that he had with Adam Thielen, where when the Chiefs, who blitzed him 60% of their plays, he was 9 for 10 for 125. Once I get the confidence in my guys, throw it at me and I'll make you pay for it. Because that's all this is. It's just confidence. It's just chemistry. That's it. And I'm going to tell you what I love about Teteroa McMillan. He one of them ones. Not just from the perspective of, hey, I'm good. I know I'm good. Get me the ball. McMillan had one catch yesterday. He had a target that missed him, or he missed, one or the other, right? Which, not for nothing, one of those moments where Bryce Young and Dave Canales throwing the ball, and it's like, all right, well, you missed on this one. What do we do? Hey, throw it again. Okay. Convert. Or, hey, let's go back to the run. Okay, it's working. Keep going to it. Good balance. Identity, right? But the whole time, Teteroa McMillan, they talked about this with Xavier Leggett. Got to shout him out too. On that Chuba Hubbard run for the touchdown. Swing pass. Boom, Chuba takes off. The blocking was incredible. Man, I literally, before the touchdown was even caught, man, I'm watching on the sideline. I see Xavier Leggett sitting down right here. I see Jimmy Horn sitting down right here. Bryce Young is standing up talking. Who's standing up talking to him? Your 8th overall pick, Teteroa McMillan, looking at the tablet. Hey, maybe we can do this. Oh, yeah, bet. And they dapping each other up. Just like you see them doing the little dances after the fact when they score. Real chemistry from a guy who is not a diva. I am here to make sure that we are great. I saw a tweet earlier. If Teteroa McMillan was anywhere else, he'd be a superstar. He's a superstar here. Because he's not the kind of guy, I could argue, if you put him somewhere else where you did try to make him that guy where he's, 10, 11 catches a game, multiple targets, you want to make him a 1,500-yard a game receiver, he might struggle. We've seen the drops. He does what he does when he needs to do it. All for the common goal. These guys are all brought in. Somebody said something earlier. They're building something special in Carolina. You damn right they are. It's happening. Brad, my illustrious guest, respond.
Well, no. Well, here's the thing. I preached the last game, that he really shown in the Atlanta game is the consistency. I was very, very frustrated at the end of the half. I was very frustrated in the second half with a play. But again, these are all things maturation. I'm looking at these other quarterbacks. The one that was announced in the game, Drew Brees, his thing, he popped into year 4, year 5, and Peyton Manning, year 4, year 5. I know these are, great quarterbacks, but that's what you do. You see what guys do when they do it and what they become. And so we're still in year 3, and there are consistent plays. The one in the San Francisco game where everybody's like, run it in, it was right there. There are plays that the kid, he makes the wrong decision, the kid struggles. And then you have those gritty games. And then you have a game yesterday where, except for those plays where I wish he would have, thrown at someone's feet, different things like that, the kid played a perfect game, 75%, 140-some, passer rating, highest since Cam Newton's 153, third 3-touchdown game this season. The kid is growing. And, I like what someone said in chat about he's still only 24 years old.
Mm-hmm.
There are rookies that are the same age as him, and he's been through 3 years. And the first year was complete mismanagement. And not just so much on Frank Reich, but also just the fact that it was such a toxic environment that was billed, even on draft day, as the best environment. Like, hey, man, they got Jim Caldwell. They've got Frank Reich. It just can't be any better for this kid. And then you had all those internal issues that he was dealing with on top of being a rookie quarterback. Now, if you look at his size, his stature, arm strength, those are things people try to bag on. And the kid has only missed 2 games his entire career. So there are some positives. And like I said, I'm not here to try to bring everybody down to earth. I still want consistency. I still want to see him make that play at San Francisco when it's just you and a defensive end for you to just walk in the end zone because it's there. I love some of the plays he made yesterday. I remember, how he used to be so angry about Dave in his ear about 2.9, 2.9, 2.7. But he made some throws yesterday, one being the Jalen Coker for the big third down conversion where we could kneel it out.
Yeah.
That's a 2.7 throw. You know what I'm
It is.
saying?
Yeah.
Drop back, plant your foot, make the throw. He did that a
rocket,
lot
too.
in the Atlanta game.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see that out of him on the regular. Dude, I told you yesterday, there has been a very, very big drop-off in quarterback play since those players around 2009, 2008, up until Cam around 2011, 2012. And who was my man that retired that Indianapolis?
Luck.
Andrew Luck.
Mm-hmm.
These new quarterbacks have not produced consistently. I mean, you had a good rookie year from C.J. Stroud. He's struggled ever since. Jaden Daniels, great rookie year. This year has been, just a forgettable season.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was so big on us getting, what we should have done to move up to get Justin Herbert a couple years ago. Everybody's like, man, we should have traded up. We should have got Justin Herbert. He threw for 150 yards yesterday.
Yeah.
He looks very inconsistent.
No, he's
when you look at
he on the bench. Now you talking about that was Tyrod yesterday with the Jets.
No, Justin Herbert.
Oh, Herbert. My bad. I'm thinking
Yeah.
My
For
bad.
the Chargers.
My bad. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, let me speak to that real quick. 2 seconds. What was the pathway for us to do that, Brad? Because I see that all the time. And we drafted Derek in that draft.
Trade away our future. Trade away our future.
To who though? Ron Rivera? Ron Rivera wasn't gonna, you think Ron Rivera, after he just got fired, is going to go to the Washington Brass and be like, yeah, get the 2 first round? No. There was no pathway for us to draft up to get him.
Nonsense.
Yeah, but go ahead.
I mean, it's complete. Yeah, I mean, we would have had to give away, and the Chargers wanted Justin Herbert.
Right.
Miami wanted Justin Herbert. So
yes, and they were both in front of us. Yes. There was no pathway for us to go up. Yeah, but go ahead.
Flores included that in his lawsuit. Like, he did not want Tua Tagovailoa. He wanted Justin Herbert. So he wanted to trade up. He wanted to do whatever he could do. And his brass was like, nah, we're going to take Tua.
Right.
And he felt like that led to his firing because, they didn't produce. But, I mean, Herbert passed for 150 yards yesterday. Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. I mean, he's the most inconsistent quarterback in the NFL. One of the most inconsistent in J.J. McCarthy. Like, he looks like it's way too much for him right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's struggling to even read the field. He's late on throws.
Even more than Bryce did as a rookie. Yeah.
Right. I mean, he's really struggling. I mean, so we are in the place where I would feel like at this time, football-wise, management-wise, it would be stupid to move on from this kid. Looking at what you've got coming out next year, Lenore Sellers is not coming out. He's struggled anyway. He's talking about transferring to Miami. You don't have the Manning kid. He's not coming out for another year. And it really is one of those things where a late round pick, who are you going to sign? Famous Jameis. I feel like with what this kid is doing, he continues to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And then continues to show that you can count on him for those. Like you said, 3 or 4 big plays a game. He is what we're going to have to stick with going forward.
Agreed.
And it's not a bad thing to me because I've looked across the league. I've seen these, past 10 or 12. I mean, why do you think Aaron Rodgers is still playing with a broken wrist?
Mm-hmm.
It's because there's nothing out there.
Right.
So people have to get on board because that's what it's going to be.
I'm glad you said that. There is nothing out there. The cupboard's bare. You know what I'm saying? Here's your options next year. Daniel Jones, they've lost 2 in a row. You know what I'm saying? Jacoby Brissett, that's an option for you. If you're really gonna tell me, like I'm gonna speak to whoever this speaks to. If you're gonna tell me that you want one of those guys over Bryce Young going into 2026, you should become Meow Mix and chill. Period. Period. Because then it's just agenda driven. There's no merit to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and look, be you, do you. But if you're gonna do you over there. Please. And thank you. But you said something, you talked about Drew Brees. I think this is fascinating. This is part of this is the next step in the maturation process. And some people, I'm a big person that, like, you know, if I was to start over in life, right? I think mentorship is important. Brad, you went to college. I had a lot of I could have went to school. I could have, right? I did not go to college, right? But I could have. And I encourage, and yes, both of my daughters will 100% go to college. This is a play we've been setting up for, you know, many years now. But if I had it to do over again, I probably would have went, because one, I would have wanted to enjoy the experience. But considering that I didn't, one thing that I did do in my life was realize very early the importance of mentorship and internship, right? Where you reach out to somebody and you intern or you get mentored. You know, there's a quote in the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. No, not Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason, my bad. Where the guy who's telling the story says an old tongue loves to wag, right? Pause. But what he's saying when he's saying that is people who have been over the mountaintop love to give you information, especially if you seek it. If you seek that information, they're going to give it to you, right? Now, granted, Jalen Hurts has been struggling as of late. One of the things that I love that I heard, and I was like, wow, I was taken aback when I heard this. So was the person that he called to mentor him. He reaches out to Peyton Manning after the first Super Bowl, and they have a conversation. And then Peyton's like, then he called me again. Then he called me again. And it's like, what does this dude want? And then finally he just said it. Teach me. He's like, son, we play two different brands of quarterback. I know that there's commonality, but we're different players. But I respect that you're reaching out to me. What do you want to know? The basics. How do you prepare? How do you do blah, 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 this, that, and the third? Him and Peyton have a outstanding relationship at this point where they talk at least once a week, if not more. I would love, because I told you yesterday, I told you earlier, Drew Brees was not Jonathan Vilma. Jonathan Vilma has a clear bias against the Panthers. And I'm sure Drew Brees don't really like us either all that much. But he sure didn't show it when it came to the business. He was a great listen. And one of the things that he kept talking about when he said Jalen Coker and the opportunities open for him in the game, I loved hearing that. Because these guys, like, before, I don't know if y'all know this, but in their production meetings, they have like week-long meetings where they meet and talk to each other, where he's talking to Bryce, he's talking to Dave, he's talking to Dan. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure Drew is probably giving some game like, hey, man, y'all might want to try to, you know, this, and this. And I'm sure he's talking to Stafford like, hey, man, I seen this, and this. You know, a little commonality there, right? If I'm Bryce, you're my guide. I told you. The best Bryce that you ever saw, which was against Atlanta, go watch his footwork and go watch the consistency in it when he was hampered by that ankle. And then go watch the guy that was calling the game yesterday and watch his footwork as a smaller guy. That's my guide. I'm reaching out to him, and that guy, look, even if you say no, just once a quarter, man, let me just pick your brain. You know what I'm saying? Because I could see, you talked about it, Brad. You see Colston and Teteroa McMillan or Jalen Coker. You know what I'm saying? You have your back in Rico Dowdle that can be, and he talked about this. Drew Brees was like, man, what a luxury to have a back that can catch out of the backfield. He talked about it multiple times. Whenever Rico Dowdle got one, whenever Chuba Hubbard scored. And it's like, yeah, because you had it and you killed us with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, you looking at it from their perspective, like, hey, y'all got one. Actually, y'all got like four. Because y'all got four of them that can do it. You got Chuba, who's gotten better at it, but you got three that's like really good at it. Brooks is really good at it. Rico Dowdle's really good at it. Trevor Etienne's really good at it, right? So you got options. What a luxury to have. It's a beautiful thing to listen to a guy like that knows, because now, like I said, there's not a lot of bias there. And you're thankful for the position. You said it, Brad. Man, Mark Sanchez was the guy over this. Right? He is markedly better. You know what I'm saying? It was just opportunity, preparation. And boy, was it great. But yes, if I am Bryce Young, Drew is somebody I'm reaching out to who has a commonality that I could say, okay, this guy could teach me how to take Like, look, the in-between, we talked about it. It shouldn't have to be just on first and second down, you only have 44 yards. Show me how when the run game broke down, what you did to become as great as you did consistently. Not just against Atlanta, not just against Green Bay my first year, not just against, Arizona in game 1, where we were losing because of me, right? Because of turnovers. How did you do this consistently? And then marry that to what I already do great, which Drew talked about this too. Bryce Young's one of the greatest at just getting away from pressure. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, there was one that he was dead to right and get sacked, right? And he ended up picking up like 2 or 3 yards. But I mean, it was just a free rusher right up the middle, right? And you marry that with what I could teach you, boy, you could really be something. You could really be something.
Well, yeah, I mean, I like to see that he's buying into what the coach is telling him to do. I mean, the 3-step drops, the getting the ball out fast, that's just an NFL, stalwart. I mean, the big thing about Tom Brady was he did not hold on to the ball. Yeah, he navigated the pocket well, but his big thing was making sure he got the ball out quick.
Mm-hmm.
2, as a coach, I really love to see Canales making sure that too much wasn't on his shoulders. I mean, give the ball to your bell cow backs. That helps any quarterback. I mean, Tom Brady's first Super Bowl, the man wasn't throwing but for 150, 170 yards.
Mm-hmm.
He rode Antoine Smith to a Super Bowl. Ben Roethlisberger's first Super Bowl, he rode Jerome Bettis to a Super Bowl. It's complementary football. And anybody who, makes you feel like it's okay to go out and pass the ball 60 times and not give your running backs the ball, you're going to see how easy of a team that is to defend.
Yeah.
These guys are too good for that. And so I really like that he took a lot of the pressure off of his shoulders yesterday. And maybe that was a thing that, could have helped in the San Francisco game. But again, all about the maturation of the coach. He knows what he needs to do to make his players successful. And like you said, finding their identity yesterday, this was supposed to be their identity.
Yep.
I just hope they continue to stick to it, because there are very few teams in this day and age of the NFL that are, guaranteed, or I would say built to stop the run. One of the big things Mina Kimes was saying a couple weeks ago was that the LA Rams had weak linebacker play, and we saw that they did.
Mm-hmm.
How many first downs did we get in behind their linebackers? How many times did you see their linebackers need additional help to bring down Chuba and to bring down Rico? Run the ball, man.
Yeah, and on that, I'm going to tell you, the beautiful thing about, the pass setting up the run, vice versa, or whatever, is you talked about it. Not Rico, but Chuba. One thing about Chuba, man, a dog in pass blocks, in pass protection. Man, Braden Fisk had just barely, on that 4th down play, had just barely gotten past Derek Brown. And Chuba Hubbard, go watch that play for yourself and watch how he stalls him right there. Braden walked away looking like, God almighty. That's the thing I love about the keep pounding thing too, man, is like when you played Carolina back in the day, especially offensively and defensively, man, you walked away knowing you played us. Like there wasn't a lot of finesse. There weren't guys who was afraid to hit. You walked away knowing you played the Carolina Panthers, right? And that's what they talked about yesterday with Lathan Ransom, shooting the gap, boom, blowing dudes up, running play. Big time. There was a back-to-back series where I thought about like, man, Nick Scott can be hit and miss sometimes, but one thing that he always is when he's there and when he can, finish, he's a thumper, right? And there was a back-to-back situation where both Nick Scott and Lathan Ransom on back-to-back downs both got into, collapsed into the pocket and just blew up the runner. Whether it was Williams or, Blake Corum, either one, and was lighting them up. And that's when Drew Brees was like, man, Lathan Ransom seeing somebody to the hospital, bro. Like, because it was getting bad out there. And, you got to be careful with that. But I'm glad that they had refs. And I've noticed this, maybe this isn't something that is happening around the league. Maybe the league office has talked about this. But I noticed this in our last game and the game before. Like, we talked about it with J.C. Horn, being handsy or whatever. or the Chris Olave quote unquote push off. They kind of letting these guys play a little bit more this year. You're not seeing a lot of the ticky tack flags, at least not in our games. You know, there have been some, no doubt, but it hasn't been where it just overtakes the game and extends the game even longer, right, than it has before. But all right. So before we get to our new segment that was introduced by Brad, I do want to know, man, like give me a big takeaway, not 3 takeaways this time. Just give me one big takeaway, and you can have multiple different angles from this takeaway that from the game yesterday, Brad.
My biggest one was offensive line play. 170 yards, total scrimmage for Chuba. 83 rushing on 17 carries. You add in Rico's carries, that's 100 yards plus rushing. I talked about the athleticism and just the nastiness of Damian Lewis. It's super hard. I mean, people understand, like, it is super hard to combo block, get to the second level, get on linebackers, and make the kind of consistent blocks that Damian makes.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really, I really feel like, we are missing Robert Hunt. We really are. But people, they want to throw kind of barbs and say, well, we've put too much money in the offensive line. But I mean, it's really showing this year that our team goes as they go.
Yeah.
And so yesterday, with blocking for another 100-yard combined game, and then you look at Bryce's passer rating, you look at the fact that he threw no interceptions. They only had 7 pressures. I mean, on average, I mean, look at what Geno Smith has to deal with in Las Vegas. We really, really are protecting the quarterback.
Yeah.
And we're really running it down teams' throats. And so, like, one of my biggest things on offense, because I'll do an offense and a defensive player, my biggest thing was, Damian Lewis, his blocking. And on defense, never thought we would be here, but how about Nick Scott? 1 interception,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
9 total tackles, 5 solo. Shout out to Nick Scott, man, for the first time.
Big time. Hey, we got a super chat. Appreciate the super chat, man. Let's see what we got here. So, James EX3. And I know it's hard to read it. Again, I know I'm having some I've been experimenting with the chat thing on this software that I use. I got all this other great stuff going on. I can't figure out these chats to save my life. But we'll get to it. In the meantime, I'll just read them. What's y'all's thoughts on Coker taking XL's spot? I think Bryce has more chemistry with Coker, and Coker is more reliable. Bryce is better with Coker. Thank you for your super chat. Brad, you speak to it first.
I mean, I feel like Coker made some good plays yesterday. Xavier's got more speed. I think it took a while for Bryce to get back into the spot of, like you said earlier, about relying on Coker and feeling comfortable with him. And he was there last year towards the end of the year. And then with that, big hamstring injury that Coker had at the first of this year that kept him out the first, 5 weeks or 6 weeks of the season, they're starting to find that chemistry. But this, 3 kind of headed attack of these 6'3" plus receivers with speed and with hands is what I was envisioning at the first of the season. I was like, listen, man, guys aren't going to be able to cover all 3 of these guys. Drew Brees alluded to it yesterday. He was like, when you look at these guys come on the field, they're very impressive. I think it more so needs to be of like taking a spot, but like the interchangeability of all of these 3 players together. With Coker being what Coker has been, and with him stepping up yesterday and continuing to kind of show the kind of options that you have, I feel like all 3 of them together, they give you these options that a lot of teams don't have. A lot of teams wouldn't be able to put, T-Mac in the slot because they don't have another 6'3" plus guy that they can put as the X, or they can put another guy as the flanker. So I feel like it's more so of I'm excited about the interchangeability of them instead of like this guy's just going to get more reps and this guy's reps are going to go away. I've seen, with Bryce's accuracy trending upwards and Xavier getting open, they connect more. We saw yesterday Bryce missed him on an out,
Mm-hmm.
but we also saw the play, in Atlanta. I feel like both of these guys are still working towards that chemistry and towards that reliability. But all three of them together is just something, like I said, that the league, Chad Ochocinco talked about it, man. I mean, this is a problem. And then you add in like a Jimmy Horn, we've really just got a lot of options. And that's what I focus on more than like people individually taking people's spot.
I agree with that. I do think that I think Jimmy is a diamond in the rough. Jimmy will get his opportunities next year. I think with the offseason, as things progress, his number will get called. I said it before. If Jimmy would have been the target on that Jalen Coker, like when they ran the double crossers and, they kind of, interchanged at the point, in the middle of the field. And then you got Jimmy that just kind of takes off running and he kind of goes in kind of inverted wheel, if you will, or whatever like that. I ain't no expert, so don't take me as one. But Jimmy was wide open. Like he would have high stepped into the end zone on that play. Those are plays and opportunities that I think he'll get as the chemistry increases. I do think that XL, while I look at this super chat and I don't think that his spot is necessarily being taken. I think it's that they're just, for example, Jalen Coker has spent 164 snaps this season since he's been back in the slot to 92 out wide, right? XL is your Z or sometimes your X, especially now that they're moving T-Mac into the slot as well. So XL gets opportunities at the X position. That's exactly where he was when he caught that touchdown in Atlanta. I think they're just going to find more opportunities for him, but I hope they don't force it. That's the only thing I'll say, is because Coker is your Adam Thielen possession guy. He basically took that role, right? Even though T-Mac can do a lot of those same things as well, which makes him even more dangerous. I think they're just going to have to find Xavier Legette's place in all of this. They tried it yesterday, a little swing pass to him and just to see what he could pick up. And again, throwing a swing pass at him, he's not Deebo Samuel. I know that maybe that, they thought that this could be a version of that. He's way bigger. He's not as fluid.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a completely different player. But what I do believe he can be, and where I think that he'll excel, is those moments where he's just a guy that, man, if you just tell him to run a 9 route, he can take the top off of defense and just, it's either going to turn into an explosive touchdown like we saw in Atlanta or just a decoy, and maybe he does mature and it's not necessarily here that he does his best work. Because if I had to say projecting into the future with all that you have going on around here, who do I think would be the most expendable piece? It probably would be him, right? But for the here and now, I think that they're going to continue to try to find ways to, to make him, you got to keep him involved and keep him motivated. And that's the thing that I love about what Dave Canales does, because this is the positive. And look, I'm overwhelmingly positive about what Dave does in terms of how he is, more player friendly and all that stuff, right? Because remember, Xavier Legette had a good game against, I want to say it was Miami, and Dave Canales in the media said he almost cried, right? Because he was so excited and so happy for Xavier Legette and his success, right? So that means you got a guy that understands that you're still developing, but he wants to try to keep you involved. He knows your story. He knows who you are as a person and the things that you've been through on a personal level to overcome to get here in the first place. But now he just wants to see, okay, let's find a place for you here. Maybe your place is, let's keep the energy and effort up. Hey, here's one example. Chuba Hubbard doesn't score yesterday if Xavier Legette doesn't have a really, really high-level lead block, pointed out by Drew Brees in the broadcast, right? So that's one way you can contribute. Then you get your number called. Oh, we see an opportunity. There's a young corner out here due to an injury to another one. Let's see if we can exploit that matchup. We did. Xavier Legette has a big game against Atlanta, 85 yards, but a touchdown that was basically the same type of catch in Philly, and he made the catch. So these are things that he's going to continue to get opportunities to build on, right? But in the meantime, yeah, you got some guys around, and this is, again, this is the beauty of having a guy like Teteroy McMillan. Man, T-Mac scored a touchdown yesterday. Go watch after. Before him and Bryce got to dancing and doing all they was doing, look what he did. Ran all the way to the other side of where he was on the field and found Icky to give him dap. This is a team guy. Anytime Xavier Legette has success, who's the first person that runs over to him? Mac. That's a 1,000-yard receiver. He's going to be rookie of the year. I'm calling it. Your rookie of the year receiver who came in because the guy that you drafted last year didn't really cut the mustard, right? Not really what you thought you would get from him. But then again, at the same time, it was a project from the word go. I don't have to give you the revisionist history, but I will anyway, just for context. Deontay was supposed to be your ex. This was supposed to be a let's work you into it slowly, right? But then you got thrust into that position because this guy's a nut. And so, hey, for the guy that you draft to come in to be your primary target, your number one, to have this kind of kindness and show this kind of empathy towards a guy who, hey, you really could be beefing with me, man. But you know what I'm saying? You could be like, I want to see you do bad, bro. I don't want you to take my spot. Because that's what this is if we just being real. And then because I can play the slot, I jump on in the slot right here and I become a decoy and you score. And what do? Beeline over to you so we can do our little handshake. If you want to call it fake, call it fake. I think it's real. But to answer your question, no, not you. I'm just saying, just in general, because there's people.
I'm saying, yeah, but I mean, that is genuine. I saw them.
Yes,
they shot a promo at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I mean, they hang out outside of the building. I don't feel like that's fake at all.
It's not. So, to me, I look at that and I say, hey, man, this is the type of chemistry you want to build. Maybe he will get to a point where he's like, I want to have more contribution in the offense. Maybe he develops. Maybe he is just a few, outside sessions with some different people or some throwing sessions with Bryce. I mean, Jalen Coker, man, like this guy's glued to Bryce's hip in the offseason. You know what I'm saying? If you want to excel at whatever you do great, then maybe you should hang around the person more that, is going to be delivering you the ball. And that's something that maybe happens in the offseason as well, right? Cam Newton talked about it, the route guy stuff. That's probably not somebody you want to be around. Like he might have taught you a few things that you could, take with you, but for the most part, wasn't really your bag. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so I think that, again, to answer the question and to put it to bed, I just think that they're going to use him and work him in as much as possible and give him as much opportunities without forcing it. Because you can't do that. You cannot do that. And I think Bryce has the type of personality where if they try to do that, that's what'll make Bryce press. That's where you need him to go out and be the point guard. Whoever you see, that's who you go to. And when you need to, then it works. And we saw that yesterday in full form. But thank you so much for the super chat. All right.
Quick,
go ahead.
We as Panther fans, we've seen it before. What happens, when you try to press the one receiver, and we also see what happens when you have team guys. I mean, we haven't had a receiver as good as Steve Smith since Steve Smith, but we've had a lot of wide open passing that I don't feel like ever could have happened with him here. And after he'd gotten older. But you know what I'm saying? I feel like for one of the first times we're seeing guys that aren't jealous of each other.
Yes.
And you may not have 100+ receiving yard game. You may not have like you said, 11 catches, us just force feeding you the ball type of game. Because, they're talking about it in the chat, Tommy Trimble running wide open. When guys are open, good teams throw it around to everybody.
Yes.
And I feel like yesterday, the big play, the 4th and 2, where they hit T-Mac over the top, that play was created because Xavier Legette, it was a crosser. And Legette had beaten his guy so bad that the safety had to go over the top to help with Xavier Legette's route. And that lined up where Forbes, Mr. Spread the apple butter of the week because he was toast. That allowed T-Mac to get over the top for the pitch and catch for the 43-yard touchdown. So like you said, the guy's accepting his role.
Yeah.
And so at this point, it's just, to me, no reason to really kind of look into that until we have to. And we don't have to for 3 more years?
Yeah.
So.
Yep. That's the beauty of the 5th-year option, man, is that, barring some kind of – now, I will say this. I saw a receiver that had some struggles that was on one – he was a part of one franchise that ended up on another franchise in Adonai Mitchell. So it's not uncommon. He was a first – I think he was either late first or early second last year or year before last. So, hey, it can happen. It's not – it's not outside of the possibility. Shout out to Nervash for this $2 super chat. He says, I still wish we had a Ted Ginn type of wide receiver. I think you're talking about from a speed perspective. I think you do. I think you have. I think you may have that. I'll say that. We don't know for sure, but you may have that in Horn. The thing is, man, is that you got a lot of. There's so much. The ball can only go around, but so much. It ain't. I tell you, in my opinion, Brad, and I want to know what you think on this, because my personal opinion is that I would rather, if there was one player that I would hope to see develop, and I would hope to see the tight end position be more featured. I know everybody was talking about the seam route where Tommy Tremble would have, ran in and through the deuces. But I would like to see that both from the offense, because that's game plan and stuff too. Because you're not necessarily like looking for him or targeting him specifically. The alignments don't even necessarily match. Like when we go heavy, you hardly, like you'll see a tight end leak, but it's usually something in the flat. It's very rarely that it's like that's what made the game plan against Atlanta so beautiful, was because when the leak happened, it was a leak up the seam, but it was kind of premeditated, if you will. He did do a full field read, but it was like, you knew that that's where we see this, we want to exploit this, this is where we want to go. If they show us this and we're going heavy, if the tight end leaks, we want to, let's go, let's attack the seam, right? Most of the time it's just something kind of little, stick route, to the flat, something to move the chains or whatever like that. We saw that yesterday with Evans. And that's who I hope becomes the guy that develops and takes the next step moving forward. Not necessarily the over the top, because I think you already have that. You got that. I mean, McMillan showed you yesterday, like one-on-one, he gonna be a problem. You know what I'm saying? So, and they'll find ways to get him. That play that he got open on yesterday, that's the same play that we talked about with Coker and Horn. Bryce just went to a different side. He just held on to the ball a little bit longer, because you can see it, the protection held up. There was a really good block by Chuba Hubbard on Braden Fisk to help out, there, because Braden Fisk was kind of giving us trouble all day, penetration pause. But yeah, kind of waited it out. XL was the decoy on this one as opposed to Horn, and he went to the side the Horn was on as opposed to the XL side. So, I mean, as opposed to the Coker side, like he did with the he didn't go to XL is what I'm trying to say, essentially. But yeah, personally, I think we have a guy like that, but I would more like to see the tight end position be developed. What do you say to that, Brad? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to see more out of Jatavion Sanders. I really like what Mitchell Evans does. I like James Mitchell as a backup, and Tommy Tremble. They all block really well. I mean, again, I'll say this until I'm blue in the face. That was a bullcrap penalty. Jatavion Sanders locked that boy up, and he
first pancake block, a penalty. Yep,
completely pancaked him. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Dude collapsed because he knew there was nothing he could do, and that's what you're taught to do. When the guy gets under you, you're getting blown off the ball. You're supposed to collapse to try to cause a pile instead of trying to fight back at that point. And they block like their hair's on fire. I cannot stress how much I love that. One, because it's just a team thing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You're doing what you need to do for the team. Yeah, you got guys like Warren out here having their, big receiving games. You got your, the Raiders, they don't even show Geno Smith stats anymore at the end of a Raiders game. They show Brock Bowers stats. You know what I mean? These guys can
He's
catch.
been awful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's been terrible. I mean, it's the line, man. I mean, he has exactly no time to throw, but
yeah,
they have such a chemistry with each other, and it'll come. You know what I'm saying? Like, they get them involved when they can. None of them are really gonna have like super big production. I wouldn't say this is like a Mike Martz offense that doesn't use the tight ends at all. But I mean, you've seen it with Canales his year in Tampa. I mean, he's a guy that features your wide receivers. And then when you go heavy, the 13 personnel, he gives guys opportunities to make catches.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know how much of that, development as far as pass catching is a priority of his, more so than the blocking, which if you're going to be a power run team, I get that.
Yeah.
But I feel like whenever we need a play from our tight ends, when we can't continue to make it obvious that our 13 personnel is going to be a run formation only, they do make plays.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for that super chat, Nervash. Yeah, definitely thank you for that, man. I want to answer a question that I see here in the chat, and then I think we're gonna skip the big takeaway today and just go straight to the around the NFL. But this comes from Matt Jenkins 207. Thank you for commenting. He says, do you guys think Rico will be back or Roseboom? I'm sure I spelled that wrong. I'll start. I think yes and no. I think yes, potentially Roseboom will be back. But I said this to Brad yesterday. I do think that Rico will probably get a bag. It just will not be here. And I know that sounds crazy. I get it. But if you just think of the situation, I just don't see how they can justify, like, if Rico was here, what he's gonna demand on the open market, like he's gonna have the opportunity to go out there and see what he can get, because I mean he's only on a 1 year deal, so it can't really hold him. The amount of money that he'll get on a 1 year deal, a multi-year deal somewhere else, will be significantly greater than what we would probably offer him because of the Chuba contract. And the fact that you drafted Trevor Etienne. And the fact that you got Jonathan Brooks in waiting. You know what I'm saying? I just don't see a world where they keep 4 running backs on the roster, right? Now, if you want to say maybe they would, use Trevor Etienne as a option somewhere else. I mean, he's been, pretty hands-on in kick and punt return. I don't know that I would let that walk out the door, because I'm not so, yes, he had a few good, runs yesterday, put us in a, pretty good field position. But more importantly, he's just a sure hand. It's one less thing you got to worry about. If I on special teams, Nkum would be one that I would be having conversations with, because 2 penalties is nuts. But I love but I love the fact that you got a guy that is a sure hand in that position. So it'd be hard to walk him out the door. They're not going to let Chuba go. Why take a dead money hit on somebody who's still productive, especially based on what you saw yesterday? So, yeah, the most likely person that would probably go out of the 2 people that you just mentioned, especially when Roseboom, led the team in tackles. Whatever linebacker you bring in, unless you go out and sign I think a Quay Walker's a guy that's going to be a free agent. And, there's some others out there, right? But even if you draft a guy, young or, veteran, I don't know that I would bring in a draft pick and expect him to kind of be, unless you're telling me that Claude Chairless is going to, take Roseboom's spot, which I don't see happening. So I think the more likely is that Roseboom will definitely be here next year, and that Rico Dowdle will likely be the one that, is on a new team in 2026. What say you?
Well, you can't continue to pay running backs this kind of money and be competitive at other positions. We got too many other voids to fill. We got to figure out what we're going to do with Icky. We got to figure out what we're going to do with, because you may let him walk, but we got to figure out what we're going to do with, some of our linebackers or outside linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on my man's name here. Scoop the
DJ Wanham. Yeah.
DJ Wanham. Yeah, DJ Wanham's deal is up.
Yep.
You do have, I think Nick Scott's deal's up. I don't know what they're going to do there for sure. So you got some things you got to do. You're going to draft some guys, but you just drafted a running back in the 5th in Etienne, who definitely would benefit from more touches. You got Brooks coming back, and a lot of people are writing him off, but it's 2025, and the kid has no cartilage damage, so he's going to be back to 100%. I don't know what it's going to look like going forward. If he'll be a guy that's hurt a lot, or if he'll be a guy that comes back and this will be a thing that was in his rearview mirror. But you have to see what you have there, and then you're paying Chuba, so that's what I was saying as far as yesterday. I mean, I really love the game Chuba had, but there was a part of me that did feel sadness because I don't feel like we can do what we did before. I mean, we gave D'Angelo Williams, $30 million, then turned around and gave Jonathan Stewart $30 million. And yeah, we had double trouble and we had two backs, but eventually we had to make a decision so we could attack other areas. And
yeah,
at this point, we'll have to make a decision on that. And then, with Roseboom, I feel like he'll be a cheap signing. He's your leading tackler. And if you do go get somebody better, he'll be a great special teams addition. So to supplant guys like Nkum, who are out here, pushing and tackling people after they've been out of bounds for 3 yards.
What an idiot.
But
excuse me, not an idiot, an idiotic play.
Yeah. I mean, the brother's done some great. He's done some good stuff for us on special teams.
I apologize.
This year,
I don't mean that.
That was a terrible play.
Idiotic play. Yeah.
And we've got money we've got to spend. We've got guys we've got to shore up. I mean, this is a huge balance game, and it is a thing. I mean, this is our guy from Asheville, man. This is our guy that former
Reynolds
10
Rocket.
miles away.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
but he's it's a business at the end of the day, and how so many teams out here are running back needy. Yeah, somebody's gonna throw 40, 50 million at this guy.
Absolutely,
it's gonna happen.
Absolutely. So we got 213 watching between two platforms. I can't tell you how much I appreciate y'all. Give yourselves a hand, man. The bank was just wow. What an atmosphere, man. What an atmosphere.
Thomas Davis said, "Defend our dirt."
Yes, sir. All right, so I want to talk about this. I thought this was an interesting thing. So Brad introduced me to this yesterday. He was like, "Hey, man, what if we just kind of looked around the league and found some stuff to talk about, like just based on things that we saw?" And there's one thing that I want to point out real quick, and then I'm gonna give it to you, man. You just tell me some storylines that you want to cover from week 13 around the league. But there was one thing I saw, man, and I thought this was fascinating. Especially considering who it was and the proximity to who we are and one of our own having a little bit of a back and forth with this guy. So this is Shedeur Sanders and Jerry Jeudy. Now, Brad, I don't know if you saw this yet, but yesterday there was a play. Jerry Jeudy was targeted. I went back and watched the play. To me, it looked like Shedeur Sanders overthrew him. Some people said it looked like Jerry Jeudy just kind of gave up on the route. He wasn't the first option, so Shedeur was reading the field, but went to him and just overthrew him, right? Just a mistake. But, nonetheless, it was a miss, right? We don't want to do the soft thing and be like, oh, it is what it is. No, it was a miss. But his response to it, however, was nuts. Because I've seen 2 or 3 other quarterbacks playing for this team, and you ain't done this. So first he's talking to him. They kind of going back and forth. He's, pointing out to him like, hey, look, I was open right here. I was open. Now look, Shedeur stand up like, all right, bro, what you mean? And then after the fact, look, Shedeur kind of showing him. He still ain't trying to hear Shedeur out. So Shedeur like, get out of my face, man. And then that's when your lineman get up and be like, hey, man, you need to go chill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Get on out the way. I have a problem with this personally. Look, I'm going to say this. Y'all can think what you want. I want to see this kid successful. I really do. But I also feel like from Judy's perspective, you're looking at a guy who's had a lot of struggles. He struggled with drops this year. If I'm not mistaken, he leads the league in drops, right? So, like, right message, wrong messenger, and wrong tone. We've seen this on our side. Man, I never will forget. We're playing the New England Patriots in 2022. And Sam Darnold throws a pick to Jonathan Jones, I believe was his name. He ended up getting a contract off of the year that he had that year with the Patriots. Went to the Chargers, never to be heard from again, really. But in that situation, through the pick, I think he was targeting DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson on the sideline. And he got caught by a hot mic. He got caught by the cameras. I mean, man, he was screaming at Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold took his hat and put it in his, took his face and put it in his hat. You know what I'm saying? To kind of shield himself from either A, me saying something that, I don't want to say to you, or B, just kind of, like a dog in the corner when they're in trouble, thinking that, you can't see them when they put their face in the corner. And it's just like, I don't want to be a part of this right now. I just want this to pass, and then you be mad, and then we go on about our business. And I remember going live, because my channel was active during that time. And I had that clip, just like I'm playing this one right now, playing on repeat. And I was like, man, you know what? You can't do that. DJ Moore can do that. Curtis Samuel can do that. And there's other people that can. You cannot. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you've had multiple drops. You were the wrong person to be coming up to me talking about. So, and I wasn't even targeting you. You know what I'm saying? He walking, tighten up. I get it. You should be well within your right to say what you need to say to somebody, but not you. Shut up. In this situation, I feel the same. Because if you ain't had that same energy for the other quarterbacks that have been playing, when you were out there, that they either overthrew you or couldn't get the ball to you, or Dylan Gabriel dirting the ball in front of you, or you missing and dropping passes, the last thing I need you to do, because I'm an opportunistic figure, I'm somebody who's boisterous, I'm somebody who people shoot arrows at, you either love me or hate me, is you take advantage of that opportunity. No, and no, right? But again, kind of leads you to believe why Steve Smith had the words that he had to say about him. So, interesting.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about as far as talent-wise. I mean, we see why teams continue to bring in Terrell Owens year after year. It made sense. I mean, the guy was uncoverable. You sent him to Philadelphia, and then, boom, they go to the Super Bowl. This kid, I mean, he doesn't seem to have it, and teams keep picking him up and keep giving him options, and he's just a cancer. I mean, he's one of those that really is a cancer, and you need to cut him out. And that's one of the things, I agree with a lot of the, wild takes and crazy antics of one Stephon Smith Sr. I share his vitriol for Jerry Jeudy. I do.
So, yeah, that was a mess, man. But around the league, man, we had we had some good games, Brad. Quite a few good games. One of my favorite that obviously I didn't watch a ton of them, but the Bears, man. How about the Bears? 9-3. We took care of business against the Rams, and now the Bears are number 1 seed. Shout out to Ben Johnson, another Reynolds alum.
Ben Johnson's getting it done up there, and Caleb Williams is getting it done. He had a pass across his body over the coverage Thursday or Friday night that was it Friday or Saturday they played? They played Saturday. They played Saturday or Friday? Friday. And
Friday. Yeah, Friday.
And I was like, dude, this kid, I mean, because he's always had the arm talent, but I really like to see good defense, good quarterback play, and they're getting it in spades in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. I love that too, man. I mean, for the obvious reason, I know Ben. It's not like the Rico or thing like that. Like Ben and I were in school at the same time. We know each other. He's a very, very nice guy. His dad was one of our principals. Just as good as guys they come. But no nonsense. Just a hard arrow. All that kind of stuff. Like so it's cool to see like what he became, like where he was to what he became. And he's also one of those guys like, I know people talk about, from the content creator perspective, you have guys like myself that I didn't play college ball. I didn't play, NFL ball or anything like that. But you can still talk about it. You can still fall in love with it. You can be passionate about it. I mean, the air raid offense has revolutionized football. The guy that invented it or who made it, he might not have been the absolute inventor, but the person who made it the most famous never took a snap. That was Mike Leach. Rest in peace, Mike Leach. but Mike Leach was the air raid genius. You know what I'm saying? And Mike Leach was one of the few college football coaches who was very successful, mind you, that never took a snap. Like, he wasn't a football guy. He might have played a little bit in high school, but he didn't play college. He didn't play NFL, right? But he was a brainiac, you know? And Ben, who went to North Carolina to play after he left Reynolds, won a state championship in Reynolds, right? But went on to North Carolina to play. Didn't really get a whole lot of playing time. Knew that he would be a much better coach than he would be a player. And we see the results. And that's the case for a lot of these guys. I mean, Tomlin's one of those guys. You know, and then you do have some guys that were, you know, big-time players and big-time coaches like Dicta and Tony Dungy and, you know, many others. But for the most part, a lot of these guys, or I mean, even Jimmy Johnson, he was good at Arkansas, but like, you know what I'm saying? That was it, you know, college. But for him to have the kind of respect that he garnered in the NFL, man, listen, I've learned this, man. You don't necessarily have to be an expert at any profession as long as you know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? If you have a little bit of knowledge of what you're talking about and you're passionate about it, people will listen. And that's what this is. The One Carolina, I'm a fan first. You know what I'm saying? Before I'm anything else, I'm a fan. I'm not a film expert. I bring on people who do that, who, you know, spend their time doing that. I'm not even the most knowledgeable fan. That's the reason why I have Brad as my co-host and my best friend, my brother, right? But what I'm good at, what I enjoy is what I do. So you see it bleeding through the screen, you know, little humble flex, you know, little flex. But anyway, carry on.
Shout out to the Jets for beating the Falcons. I love to see their continued demise. I think this division is in a very, very open race type of spot, where if we can become consistent and continue to get wins, this can be our division for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bucks are old. The Saints are in their rebuild, even though they're, you know, they've won a couple of games here and there, us being one of them. I feel like they're kind of trying to mail it in. And then, you know, the Falcons may or may not be starting over. Like I said, we all know that Michael Penix, the Carfax was bad when they drafted him, and he's, you know, continued to deal with some hurt issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like this is our division that we can take over, and you just continuing to see it, you know, with the Falcons losing to the Jets and the Saints losing to the Dolphins again yesterday.
Yeah. Matt Jenkins 207 said, "Did you see that guy in Pittsburgh, the tight end last night? Dude's like 6'8". I know exactly who you're talking about, buddy. I'll tell you what, that's Darnell Washington. You know what team he was on? Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
You know what team he was on, that who did what against who? You know who? You know who? Yes, sir. You better believe it. When Bryce Young hung 424 yeah, he was on that team, along with Jordan Davis, 6'8", along with N'Kobe Dean, Pro Bowler, along with. I'm gonna stop. Anyway,
the guy that everybody forgot could play good football because he was racing and someone couldn't drive as good as him. And
Jalen Carter.
Yes.
And guess what? Little 5'10" BY. Most passing yards in SEC championship history. Yes, sir. You heard it right. I told y'all the debate is over. Don't talk to me about it no more. It's people that's usually in my chat that I do not see today. I wonder why. Anyway, let's go.
Haters. And then, you know, I mean, a big part of this thing was, you know, we were going to try to check in some of this Shador mania, Shador sanity, but the Browns don't know how to play complimentary football, and their special teams decided to take the game way off yesterday, and they didn't have a chance. But I just really feel like that it's not a lot of great quarterback play out there, and, you know, to kind of cement my belief in Bryce going forward, I'm just saying, I mean, the guy's doing it about as consistently or inconsistently as 90% of the league, minus Matt Stafford yesterday. You know, I look at these different teams. I mean, did you see the Vikings game at all yesterday, or see any of their, like, this kid Max Brosmer threw for 4 interceptions. He was crying on the sidelines,
Oh
and they
my
was
gosh.
patting his chest, telling him it's gonna be all right.
I've seen that before. I remember. Gosh, this was post. This might have been post Shaq. I believe this is when Shaq was traded to. Actually, I may have the wrong team. I want to say it's the right team. I just can't. Now that I look back on this, man, I don't know that this was the right team, but it seems like I remember UD doing that one time. If you don't know who Udonis Haslam, Miami Heat. I want to say this was the post Shaq Miami Heat, long before Bron, of course. And I think D Wade might have had an injury, and man, they went on like a historic run of just L after L after L, bro. It was, and like they showed some of their guys on the sideline, and they were crying. And like, I'll be honest with you, like when you watching it in real time, like that's also the point I make about when people try to throw the money thing at me. Like, man, these guys make millions of dollars. I'm like, man, it's all relative, man. You work hard at your job. You just don't happen to be 6'8" and got a jump shot. You know what I'm saying? But if you would have went after something that was nearly impossible, that the 1% of the 1% actually accomplished, the money is all relative. It don't matter if you're making millions or you're making, $70,000, $80,000 a year. Whatever opportunity you have, if you're not doing good at it, it's gonna make you, you're gonna feel a way about it because everybody wants to be great at what they do, right? And so money can't mask that because you still got expectations. You still got, I would say, even more than normal people that work. But yeah, these guys were on the sideline like balling. You know what I'm saying? Because of the losing streak. And it might not have been the Heat. I'm pretty sure it was though. But it's been quite some time. So yeah, I mean, I get it. That still don't make it not funny. It don't make it not funny. Like if you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it might be that, but it still don't make it not funny. So that's hilarious. But boy, what a whiff, man. You know what I'm saying? Like this JJ McCarthy thing,
Yeah.
I don't think it's an injury thing. I really believe it's like, man, we messed up, man. And you see Sam having success. Yes, I said that, Sam having success. This one is for you, Brad. Sam having success. Don't talk to me. Don't even say nothing.
What are you talking about?
Don't say nothing. Just leave it alone.
Same old Darnold?
Just leave it alone. Leave it alone. Yes, same old Darnold. Anyway, Sam having the success that he's having, yeah, I could, it makes things. It looks weird.
They played yesterday. The aforementioned crying quarterback. So when old same old does something when it matters, I'll see what I can do about rewarding you for that terrible take so far.
Yeah,
so I know you want him to be good, man. I do. I get it, but
I ain't no want. You see what he doing out there.
Every time.
Don't be playing with Sam, man. You got Sam effed all the way up, bro. You see what Sam out there doing, boy. Don't be trying to play with me, dog. You know what time it is. Yeah.
Hey, you can use this to parallel off your boy. You know what I'm saying? Off our guy Bryce Young. You know what I'm saying? Sam Darnold had 4 interceptions against the Rams.
Yeah, he did.
Bryce had 209 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Hey, talk about it.
You know what I mean?
Talk about it.
Same old, man.
You know what I'm saying? Some people, I done seen takes Brad so crazy. People like, man, we should never got rid of him, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, when I was advocating for him, y'all was killing me, so I don't want to hear it. I was advocating for him. Man, I ain't gonna say no names. It's a content creator that hey, look, I still rock with, bro. But like, I had said something on X, and then I saw where he took what I said on X and like spoke to it on his, because like I was literally watching Daniel Jones in the playoff. It was the year they made the playoffs. He won the playoff game, right, with Brian Dable, and I'm like, man, it ain't no reason. This was Darnold's last year. This year we went 7-10. I'm like, man, it ain't no reason we can't do with Darnold what they doing with Daniel Jones. You know what I'm saying? Next year, kind of retool, build around him, keep Steve Wilkes around. My man literally took my whole little tweet and like made a clip of it and was like, and then some guy on Twitter was saying blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, he's an idiot. I'm like, let's put a name on that thing then, boy. But you know what time it is. You know, I'm lethal with this thing, Jake. I'm trying to tell you. You don't want,
I don't want it, Jay.
yeah, you don't want that.
But I mean, that's the big issue. That's why people do get angry, because they hate when you'll throw the rock and stand there and be like, "Yeah, I threw it."
Yeah,
You know what I mean,
I'm with the jokes. I ain't talking about on no personal level, like on no like fighting.
you gonna throw
level,
throw the rock and hide your hand, man.
Yeah,
we ain't know what you're talking about anyway.
I can tell you this: I've not done this to this point, other than the meow mix thing. I ain't the guy that's not gonna say somebody's name. You know what I'm saying? Like but it's got to be enough for me to say it, because I don't take none of this serious enough to like for it to be like on no anger or vitriol. You know what I'm saying? Nothing like that. But on some jokes and on the dozens, I promise you, I'm the wrong person to do that with, because I get so busy. Ask anybody that know me, and we can do that too. So, but anyway, so man, when I look around the league, Brad, I don't see anybody, especially after yesterday's game. Nobody scares me, man. Nobody. I'm not scared of anybody. As a matter of fact, I think that there's two teams, in my opinion, that if you are any of these big time, like, you know, favorite playoff teams, whether that be the Rams or, you know, the Bears, the usual suspects, Philly, you know, whatever, there's two teams that you really don't want to get into the playoffs. And that's us in Dallas. I was telling my uncle is a big time Dallas Cowboy fan, you know, and I know we beat him. Also, one of my best friends who I've collaborated with, Angry Cowboys fan, who's a moderator on my channel, by the way. Angry is a big time Cowboys fan. And what they've done with this trade and defensively what they're doing, how they're running the ball, and George Pickens playing out of his mind, and, you know, CeeDee Lamb starting to, you know, get back into form. Dallas reminds me a lot of, and us too, not for nothing, but they've had a lot more success recently than we've had, regular season success anyway. They remind me of the Giants of 2007, where it was like they just couldn't figure it out, and then late in the season they got healthy, they found a rhythm. They understood that they were a running team, and Eli made some big-time plays when he needed to, and that's a tough out in the playoffs. It don't matter if you're on the road or at home. That is a very tough out. And that's exactly what I see both us and Dallas becoming to some of these teams. Like, you can run the ball well at any given moment. You got a guy that can pass for 400 or 200 yards at any given moment. You can play big-time defense. I do still think that one thing that could come back to bite us a little bit is the lack of pass rush. But the one thing they make up for, man, in quarters, we're a problem. You know, we are a real problem, especially with J.C. Horn. If we go cover 4, we are a very big problem. So, yeah, you know, look, if we make it into the dance, man, which I think that, you know, we very much can. We ain't a team that some of these teams want to see.
Oh, not at all. I mean, we play good pass defense. Nobody in the NFC runs the ball like we run the ball.
No.
And no one's got an offensive line like we have. So it's one of those things where Chicago, Los Angeles, these high-powered offenses, even Seattle, we slow it down, run the ball. I mean, nobody's surviving off of 13 minutes to 2-minute quarters.
Right.
I mean, you can't operate. And I mean, when I'm looking at it, you know, Packers, Detroit Lions, you got a lot of that NFC North mucking up the wild card. So it's gonna have to be more than likely us beating the Bucks, beating the Seahawks, and winning the NFC South for us to get in. But I'm not afraid. Like I said, I'm not afraid of any of those teams. San Francisco, we could have beat. We just stick with the run. We beat Green Bay. Detroit can't stop the nosebleed right now. I don't know what's going on with them. And their offense looks shook up. Goff is starting to turn back into a pumpkin. And you know, Dallas is flying high, but Dallas won't get in if they don't win their division. Mm-hmm. And yeah, looking up down, man, I don't see anybody that we can't contend with. I will like to see what happens with Seattle, because they do have probably, not on paper or not statistically, the best defense in the NFL, but they have a really good opportunistic defense that keeps them in a lot of games. I mean, they had 4 takeaways yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But if we play Seattle tough, get a win there, finish out, taking care of business with the Bucks, nobody's gonna want to see us in the playoffs.
No, we're 5-1 coming off of a loss, which is huge. As I showed earlier, we are. You can't even see me now. As 10-point underdogs, we're 2-0, beating Green Bay and the Rams. And we got a bye. We're gonna get healthy during the bye. I think they'll come up with a really good game plan against the Saints. I wouldn't sleep on the Saints. Obviously, you couldn't the first time. But I wouldn't, just because you've got momentum from the last time you played them, and you've done a lot of really, really good things since you played them last. I would still keep that same formula moving forward and just play bully ball against them and take your opportunities in the passing game where they present. And then the thing with I think Tampa is very vulnerable, especially here's the thing, man. I think even if you crap the bed against New Orleans, right? I still just believe when the Panthers are playing at home, at this point, it's a completely different team. And the momentum, man, you really going to have people up out the bed for the game against Tampa and then again against Seattle. And I had said it, man, you beat the Saints, and if Tampa loses next week, man, this last 3-game stretch becomes a movie, bro. It's going to be cinema. It might be the most interesting story in all of football because now, outside of what happens in, the AFC North, because you got a similar situation going on up there where Baltimore is winning the division right now at 6-6, which is crazy. But yeah, man, I mean, Seattle at home, you're right. Opportunistic defense. But man, look, Sam Darnold has shown that, as much as I have my affinity for what he's doing, man, he can give it up. You know what I'm saying? So, so I'll level with you there. And then, Tampa.
Hey,
go ahead.
Around the league, man, check out this breaking news, man. Dropped by JCO98. I looked it up. The Vikings just cut Adam Thielen.
No.
Isn't that
really
weird? Yeah, he approached them and was like, listen, I'm going to need y'all to let me get back out there. It's my last season. Gone, man.
Wow.
What do you think?
No way. Hold on. Give me a second. So wait, is he retiring?
Well, he said this would be his last season, but he approached him about moving on. I think he wanted to get another shot, man. Like at least, I mean, this being his last season, but it kind of sounds like he wanted to get on another team and try to give it a go.
So this is Adam Thielen on X, a post. So we'll read it. You guys may not be able to see it, or you probably see it on your own. I'll read it here. He says, Vikings family, thank you. This is tremendously difficult for me to write, and certainly not how any of us imagined this to go. As a Minnesota native, putting on this uniform over the years and representing the community both on and off the field has always meant that much more to me. The team is in my bones. It's in my heart, and it's a part of my DNA. I will always be a Minnesota Viking. Since the last spring, I knew this was going to be my last season playing in the National Football League, given that the Vikings have allowed me the opportunity to go compete elsewhere for the last few weeks of my career. Minnesota will always be our home, and we are incredibly grateful to the Wilf family, Queel, K.O. Rob, and everyone. Queel. Quessy, maybe. Oh, Quessy. Yeah, Quessy. My bad. I'm like, Queel. And everyone in the Vikings organization for bringing us back in August. This organization means the world to us from the top down, and this locker room is filled with true professionals.
We go to prison.
Shout out to Adam Thielen. I hope you land somewhere. You know, nobody else really wanted you, if I'm just keeping it real. You know, but, bro, you would have been a star here. I think about guys like him, Deontay Foreman. I mean, not Deontay. Well, yeah, Deontay Foreman too, but that wasn't his fault. What's the receiver? Deontay Sanders. Well, I don't know. What is
The Lamb?
The one that we cut. What was his name?
At what point?
Last year. Deontay Johnson, maybe. Deontay Johnson.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
To yeah.
All right.
I mean, this was an odd move. It was an odd move for you to ask to be traded to go back to Minnesota, and so kind of reap the harvest, buddy. And not only did they sit you while you are still able to get open, and your team's 4-8.
Wow. I could, honestly, bro. Let's go back through our schedule real quick. Yeah, Nicole Johnson. Yeah, it was Johnson. Let's go back through our. I had the schedule pulled. I'm gonna look at what our record would probably be if Adam Thielen was a receiver on this team. It ain't gonna be what you think. It's gonna be better. If Adam Thielen was a member of the Panthers, we would have beat the Jaguars, in my opinion. If Adam Thielen was a Panther, we would have beat Arizona. We would have definitely beat the Falcons. We would not have beat the Patriots. We would have beat the Dolphins. We would have beat the Cowboys. We would have beat the Jets. If Bryce was healthy and Adam Thielen was on the team, I don't know that Rico, because this is a multiverse situation where Rico probably isn't your main back at this point because the passing game is much more fluid. So I'm going to say we probably still lose to Buffalo. I also think that we don't beat Green Bay because we don't focus on the run game. But we beat the Saints, we sweep the Falcons, we beat the Niners, we beat LA, and we go into the bye with 3 losses. I really believe that. Because building off of the passing game from last year with him as a part of it would have made a huge difference. And that's your safety blanket in moments where, like I said, I mentioned this, Bryce has finally found that chemistry on 4th down where he feels comfortable going to guys like Coker and Coker and T-Mac consistently. And that's why Dave is calling it up that way. So, yeah, I think that you would have had a lot more success early on. I don't think it would have been like what it is now, because I think that a lot of those issues that we had in the Cardinals game, man, where Bryce was taking sacks and, stripping, getting fumbles and, all that kind of stuff, or fumbling, I should say, is because he wasn't really sure where he wanted to go and was building up trust with these young guys. So, yeah, I believe it would have been a completely different situation for us. But, man, what a terrible way. Somebody said it in the chat. Quante Lewis said, bad way to end it. Man, talk about it. Gosh. I mean, Brad, do you realize that he ended up in Carolina because nobody else would sign him? Who is going to sign Adam Thielen?
With no knowledge of the offense. I mean, and that's why it's kind of like we would be the only place where it would make sense to sign him at this point in the season, but also, why would we do that? Because like you said, we're finally figuring out. Now, yeah, it would have been great to have him in a couple of those games where Hunter Renfrow was, kind of struggling to get off. Yeah, we would have had more options. We would have looked a lot better. But at this point, man, Coker's back. His hamstring's fully healed. Like you said, Bryce got the confidence. It's building. He's getting open. I mean, I've seen very few things as nice as that, passing the rain over the top yesterday on 4th down to Coker.
Yeah.
And these guys are really interchangeable. I mean, like I said, they're all 6'3" or taller. Mm-hmm. They're all 210 pounds or heavier. They can all block. And at this point, why would you disrupt that chemistry? I mean, if he was willing to come back and sit on the bench and give us help if we, needed it. But again, it'd pretty much be the same situation he's in or was in Minnesota. And like I said, outside of that, who's the receiver needy team that wants to bring him in and try to feature him now?
Yeah, number one, let me read this super chat from Joe Clarity. Shout out to Joe Clarity. Joe Clarity says, sounds like Adam is having regrets leaving. Maybe. Two things can be true. On one hand, he can regret leaving. On the other hand, he can, they just, man, this ain't working out for him. And then someone else had mentioned something. Rome 1031 says, no, didn't his wife burn bridges? She did say some crazy stuff on X. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something wild. But I mean,
But
it wasn't like
the reason he left.
Yeah. But I'll say this personally, because Rory Blake said it in the chat, get him back before Tampa Bay. They think Tampa's gonna go get him. I can only hope that Adam Thielen will sign with Tampa Bay. I can only hope it. Why? Because if he does, the first mesh or first crossing route that he runs, I hope that Trayvon Moore is not playing and Lathan Ransom is in the game at that point, because we're going to end this real quick for you. We're going to get you out the paint. So, yeah, please let that happen. I would love to see it, personally. So, all right, man, it's been a heck of a show. Brad, any last words?
Well, I'll say this. We are leading in statistics that I don't know if it's good that we're leading in them, but I'm going to take it as straight up proof that we on the way back to consistency. We're back on the way to winning, and we're digging ourselves continuously out of this hole we've been as a franchise since 2017. And we're leading in fourth downs converted in the league. And Bryce is leading in, fourth quarter comeback since his time in the league compared to who was the guy he overtook? Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like those are things that we can continue to build on, and, be excited about.
Yes, indeed. Wise words from the Oracle himself, the king of Wilkes County, Bradford, Invisible Brad. Man, I'm just elated. That's all I say. That's my final word, man. Just the energy at the bank, man. There ain't nothing like it. There ain't nothing like it. Old school, college-like atmosphere, Roman Coliseum-like atmosphere, except for the Lions and eating Christians and whatever. But, yeah, I absolutely love that this team is competitive at this point in the year, because this right here, this is the year. This is the time. In December, that's when you really separate the real from the fake, and boy, I'll tell you what, if there's one thing you don't want to do with us, don't let us in the dance. Just don't let us in, man. But all right, so this has been a good show, man. I appreciate my co-host Brad for showing up. I have powered through this show. It has not been easy because I am sick as a dog. And I am going to go and take some medicine and lay down and take a nap for a very long time. Hopefully not.
Yeah, get you some honey and lemon, brother, and
yeah,
get you a little rest.
Somebody was saying,
appreciate your power and food, man. He's taped up.
Yeah,
got shot up, got what he needed to get through. Yep. Hit the smelling salts and pulled out another dub on the Victory Monday.
For the longest Mint Street Monday that we've had so far, which is, that's been incredible, because most of our shows run about. I do like the addition of the Around the NFL. I think that's really cool, and that's something that I think we'll get even more involved with as we go along. But before I go, I'll make sure to shout out our channel members. I did see that we have one new member added, but I can't see who it was exactly. Give me a second. I think it was Miss Velbyhag, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, appreciate you for joining the channel. Hey, if you want to join the channel, join the OCs, the original cats, for $1.99 per month. Hit the join button. You'll see the join button is located on the home page of my YouTube channel. Shout out to my members, Geraldine Cook, Will Robinson, Richard Bowman, King Jermaine, King Son, Nicole Ivory, J Issue, Miss Douglas, Newbie324, Dougie124, Stephen Hagler, and Graham and Mint. And like I said, the newest, somebody said Elderberry, yeah. But yeah, the newest member, I'm pretty sure it was Miss Velbehag. Yes. So salute to Miss Velbehag, which I believe you are from Denmark, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, salute to you. Thank you for joining the channel and joining the fold.
International.
Yeah, international player with the passport. All right, so man, it's been another great one. Like I said, y'all, I appreciate y'all toughing it out with me today. More content during the week, man. It's the bye week for them, but it's turned up for us. So I will be making a special appearance on another very, very popular content creators platform pretty soon during the bye week. So I'll let you know more about that as we go along. But until then, man, I appreciate y'all. Keep pounding.